Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, week number 8, as we are live here from the UMG studio. Myself, Lennon Lando Sanders, joined in part by Reflections and 9 Whole Grains. Guys, it is set to be a fantastic week. We got some new game modes coming back. For those who have watched Minecraft Monday previously, you're very familiar with Hunger Games. That is exactly what we are going to be experiencing today. It's set to be a phenomenal one. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm good, right? It's going to be a good time to watch these players play it out for Minecraft Monday coming in for week number 8. I'm excited. But more importantly, like you said, we're adding in some old game modes.
Yeah,
right? So bingo coming into play, and we were talking about it, right? Imagine watching Tyler 1 in Greek play some bingo.
Yes.
We're going to have the perspective.
We are, and we got the wish that we always wanted. We have XQC and Moxie here. We're going to be able to watch their perspective as well. Always a lot of fun when we see that as well. But I'm really happy to see us going back to a more Hunger Games-centric focus, because that's how this started, and it's kind of nice to have a little throwback.
Exactly, right? I mean, we kind of are going back to our roots, if you will. While Splitter, is a little bit of a mini games mix into it. Let's go and take a look at our game modes kind of coming in at 2 today. For those who maybe aren't as familiar, we're going to run through a few of them, right? So, like I said, we're going to have 6 Hunger Games along with 3 mini games intertwined. So the first game will be played on SparkCity. We'll later head over to TNT Run. Then it's time for some Breezy Hunger Games, followed up by Par 72. We'll then be playing some KitPVP, followed up by Holiday Hunger Games, and then we'll be heading in toward Wyvern Bingo, and then the final Hunger Games will be played on Spark Apokalypse, which we've definitely never seen that map before. I would have remembered if we would have
sounds brutal, though.
It does. It sounds interesting. It sounds brutal, and it has the name that makes me very excited about it. Let's go and take a look at our participants coming into today, boys, as we look through out this one. Let's go and discuss a few of them to be exact. You know what? Just one team in particular. I think we can look no further than team number 3, 9.
Yes, team number 3, Vicstar and Skeppy, a team made up of 2 previous winners.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on this, but I believe this might be the first team that has been made of 2 previous winners. They certainly are the favorites today. You see there below, Travs, another fantastic player as well, teaming up with Quackity. And outside of that, some other names I think we're a little familiar with.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of actually bring back some previous winners and like pair them with somebody good, right? It's going to be interesting to watch them play it out, because we know Vicstar, he strives when it comes to Hunger Games, right? I mean, he's a solid top-level player. Skeppy as well. Skeppy, Bad Boy Halo, come on, right? Winning last week. Excited to watch him play. Travs as well with Quackity. That could be an interesting combination.
Yeah, for sure. Right. We also got James Charles. It's always going to be fun, too, to watch Ms. Kiff and E-Rob play together as well. Some familiar faces to a lot of the Twitch community. Let's go and take a look at our next page now. A few more teams to gander at. And I got to say, first one for me that kind of sticks off the page, Captain Sparkles and Bajent Canadian. What, Bajent Canadian has finished 3rd, is it 6 times now?
Pretty much.
It's crazy. And back-to-back 3rd places with Captain Sparkles and Bajent. I'm hoping that today can finally be their moment where they at least eclipse top 2.
You know, every week we talk about it, and I'm like, I want to see them come up and, whether it be 2nd place or 1st, just break that 3rd place mark. Because, like you said, 6 weeks, like roughly, I mean, it's tough, and they're talented. They're very, very talented. And when it comes to Hunger Games, though, I know that's where they strive, and I definitely think, and plus, granted, they're one of the most consistent teams staying together throughout the entirety of Minecraft Monday, other than, at the beginning, Beijing Canadian with Marone. But regardless, the point is, I'm excited to watch them play. Cupquake being back, but I'm surprised you didn't highlight FitMC and Camping Crusher.
I was going to say, I was waiting for my moment, because that is my sleeper team coming into today, man. Yeah, 100%. This is where they feel more comfortable with. They are meant for PvP. What we also got Preston and Landon playing together, a long-time duo themselves, followed up by a few. But hey, we cannot stray away from team number 10, 9. We've got Technoblade this week playing with Dan TDM.
Yep, switching around there. We've finally run through, I think, most of the rotation of players that Techno can be with, and is now with Dan TDM. The 2 highest concurrent viewer accounts that we have had playing here, so they're going to be hogging a lot of the eyeballs this week, and rightly so. Techno, of course, a monster here. This is his strongest game mode. He might be able to pull this off once again. You just never know with this guy.
Yeah, you never really do. Let's go and take a look at our next page of participants to get somewhat familiar, somewhat acclimated. Also, really excited to see Dennis and Sub playing together, team number 16, the guys who are kind of known for more of a Roblox background in terms of their, kind of group, the Pals, right, their YouTube channel, but they also do play Minecraft individually in their separate ways. We also do, right, have Bad Boy Halo this week not playing with Skeppy, right, because we'll be, we've already kind of covered that one a little bit, but Bad Boy Halo now with a 60. We also do have Tyler 1 and Greek God, XQC and Moxie, and a team that we've talked about a decent amount, right? They're still hanging on together despite after, 6 weeks of playing with each other. I think they have an average placement of 6th. We've been waiting. Can they eclipse that top 5? Can they be in that conversation? Jerome and Phil's always a squad to look out for, and this week it is PvP.
It is, right? And they do well when it comes to PvP, Hunger Games specifically. Jerome and Phil's, I'm waiting for them to get their big break. You know, like you said, I mean, they haven't had the best performances. They're consistent, but they haven't had the big break. And I think maybe this week it could be it, but I say that every week, so I'm really hoping they can break through.
Our hearts have been hurt
Honestly,
by Jerome and Phil's, but as you guys were saying, remember week 2, the last time we were predominantly Hunger Games? Second place.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, that's a very important stat to mention. I think a lot of our kind of previous, notions of which teams are going to be the ones to look out for are kind of skewed a little bit because we have such a mini games mindset toward them and saying, hey, okay, this is where they're really looking at. But when we kind of initially transferred, there were so many rosters. I think I remember it was like Jack. I think it was Jack Sucks at Life and I forget. I think it was S Major. They were super good when it came down to regular PvP. I think they had like a 4th place together, and then they started to kind of veer off into the top 8, top 9, top 10 point of views. Like we discussed, and for those who obviously know it, I mean, we kind of get in this same notion of like, okay, hey, this is how this team is going to be. This is where their standards are, and then we forget 6 out of the 9 games today will be Hunger Games in comparison to the prior 2 that we've had for a numerous amount of weeks in a row. So I think it's going to throw a massive amount of things kind of into the setup in terms of what teams look out for, maybe some teams that we have, higher ranked that maybe, shouldn't be there in comparison to how they previously played.
It's true, right? Because find the button. How many points did they get last time? I mean, we're talking about close to 300 points last time we were watching it. That's insanity. But you're right. A lot of these players who have been up there since we introduced the mini games and, kind of strayed away from Hunger Games in the past, they might not be up on the top leaderboard as expected maybe this week. And on top of that, too, one of the teams that I do want to highlight, and I highlighted them last week, XQC and Moxie, they thrive when it comes to PvP, right?
True.
When it comes from Run from the Lava, they're not, as good. Whenever it comes, maybe even from Dropper, right? It's a little bit more difficult, things like that. But the point is now, with it being PvP, I mean, even adding in KitPVP, too, we know they know how to play these game modes. They're good. Yeah. And this week, I want them to be top 3.
I think they have a great chance, too. And I think another thing that's really nice about all this is 8 of our 9 modes, you can influence what the other team is doing.
Sure.
You talked about Dropper, you talked about Run from Lava. We could pencil in some of these players like Preston, like, okay, that's going to be 300 points there easily. You can always pencil that in because nobody is going to be able to interfere with their play. It's Find the Button, Dropper, Run from Lava, all of these. But now 8 of the 9. The only one you can't influence your opponent is Bingo, and I guess you sort of can too. It's just a little less conventional there. Some griefing. We were talking about some strategies for Bingo, though.
We were talking about some strategies.
Strategies.
Well,
strategical bingo. It's a thing. Believe it or not.
You want to run through? You want me to run through about the strategies? All right. So when
it
comes to bingo, we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier and highlighted, right? Tyler and Greek. Last week, they didn't even know how to find the menu. You can go back and watch the clips, right? They were like, we don't even know how to find the menu. Why are we even here? But now they're back. They've got a little bit more familiarity, if you will.
Minecraft Monday is addicting, man.
Well, it is addicting, right? It's fun, right? But when it comes to content, it's one of the best ways to go about it. Yeah. But Greek does know his way around Minecraft, right? Tyler, maybe not so much. So Greek is going to have to carry, especially whenever it comes to bingo. But I think it's going to be fun to watch their stream. And one of the strategies we kind of talked about was maybe they can have an influence in bingo, such as not necessarily sabotaging, but at least going through and stealing some of the items.
What's the word? What's the word, 9? Diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
That's the word that they may have
say. I'm trying to think, what words have I said recently as we've been talking? Diplomacy and griefing was the word that you used there. Follow people around. Maybe,
100%.
When that block breaks, maybe just land right there, steal those diamonds, and run away.
Like, oh, my bad, man. I totally had no idea that I was running right in front of you.
Are there rules against that?
I don't think so. Because the thing is like, no, everyone else is doing their thing. I mean, you really don't have to set those rules until you introduce Tyler and Greek. Then maybe it's like maybe we have to start.
We have to enforce them. Like it's like they haven't been tagged as of yet, but you never know.
I'm hoping people hand them items. Like that's what I'm hoping.
We have seen that
in the past. And who was the one who opened up the shop?
Was Carson.
Carson.
Yeah,
it was
Carson way back. Yeah.
So maybe they could be the new shopkeepers too.
They could. Whether or not they think of that, which there's a lot of creative moments in Minecraft. You never really kind of know what could occur if you're not careful. But guys, I know we're having a few issues right now trying to get into a few games. We'll be obviously ironing out those problems. But until then, we're going to throw it to a quick little commercial break. When we return, though, it is time for game number 1. We'll be back. What I tell you, folks, it was going to be a very, very, very brief commercial break as we were live here back at the UMG studio for Minecraft Monday week number 8. Myself, Lando, on the mic, along with Reflections and 9 Whole Grains. We were kind of having a few conversations about how the game modes have changed for this week. For those who weren't here in the pre-show, which was about, what, 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago?
Something.
You're in luck because
count on one hand.
you literally can, right? So we are obviously playing 6 Hunger Games for this week, along with 3 other mini games, which happen to include Bingo, TNT Run, and KitPVP. But we're getting ready to hop into our first Hunger Games mode, and the conversation that we were having during the break was kind of along the lines of Technoblade, right? Is playing alongside Dan TDM, who we know is good. I know he and Think Noodles haven't had the greatest overall placements, and they're actually one of the most long-standing duos who have played in pretty much every single week. So I think Dan realizes, hey, sorry, Noodles, this is my opportunity. This is my chance. If I ever want to win a Minecraft Monday, it may be off the back of Technoblade. But as you were mentioning, Nine, kind of during the commercial, you were kind of alluding and saying, if there was a week, right, where you could really start to carry anybody, it would be this one because of the map sets and because of the game modes that Technoblade has.
Right. We've spent the last few weeks talking about how all these different mini games mean that everybody has to be able to carry their weight because you can't influence what other players are doing. You're going to assume they're going to put up their points. If you don't put up yours, you're not going to be able to make it happen. But here, if Dan isn't playing up to standard, he can still feed Technoblade with the weapons that are necessary.
Sure.
It's still an extra pair of eyes, and it's an opportunity to work together to make things happen. And we've seen Techno with so many other teammates. Last week, he and Junkie Janker won both of the Hunger Games.
Right.
And I think that Junkie Janker and Dan TDM are in very similar tiers as players.
You know, they definitely could be. I mean, that was a talking point last week, too. We're like, how is Junkie going to be paired well with, of course, Techno in the first Hunger Games? And I got to say, he played very well. But, Dan, you're right. I mean, they're probably the similar skill sets, and we saw how well Techno was able to play. I mean, he can 1v2 pretty much any team on this map. But, I mean, one that we kind of highlighted a little bit earlier, right, was Vicstar and Skeppy. And I think that's going to be another one. Is a battle is going to ensue already, and that's pretty early.
Yeah, it is early, and I think Dylan Dark and Grande were not aware of this whatsoever. It was not the greatest of situations in what we see a stone, or rather not a stone sword, a wood sword, and I think 2 arrows along with that bow. So not the greatest situation, as I think we do have TBNR Frags already taking down Mizkif off the break, which is definitely notable, right? We talk about TBNR Frags, we talk about Vicstar's team along, of course, with Technoblade. Could easily be some front runners when it comes down to the rest of this tournament. And just before I forget him, Mr. Minecraft himself, Beige Canadian as well.
And take a look right after that. Looks like Skeppy is going to get the pick onto XQC, and Moxie's going to get a little revenge there too. So that is 2 of our top teams that have already taken one player out. And Taylor, we talk about this every single time we bring up Minecraft Hunger Games. When you go down, your scoring output gets shattered.
Yeah, it does, right? I mean, it's tough because you don't have your teammate. We've seen 1v2s happen, but they are rare, and it only happens to a couple of others. But with that being said, yeah, losing or at least a couple of the top players from the top duos in this tournament is going to be a little bit rough. So now they got to kind of play their life accordingly and not be as aggressive as they probably want it to be.
And you notice Technoblade, he and Dan, they actually reference back toward middle, this has kind of been the original conversation, one that we always used to have, and prior was a matter of, hey, once Technoblade starts to slay out, what is his goal? To go back toward middle, right? You want to try to get those enchantments. You want to try to block everybody else from the center of the map because that is what everyone is going to go toward eventually, right? That is where the zone or the barrier starts to shrink into over time. So it's not shocking that they were kind of lingering around that point of view. As I know we were discussing, and I think we had Landon and Vicstar on the cam for a moment as we'll go and switch on, or rather Landon and TBNR Frags for a moment, but they are in the camp of probably taking down another player as Bad Boy Halo just gets wiped off the map as well.
Yeah, it's rough, right? Bad Boy Halo going down. That's going to be hard now for A6D, who has to basically 1v the world as Lawrence and Cupquake goes down too. And I got to say, Landon and Preston are hot on the heels of this player, and Enderpearl is going to be out, which could, in fact, get up close, bow in hand. Maybe a couple of arrows, potentially. I don't think so. So it's just going to be really a running simulator at this point until they catch up.
And this is one of those decisions where you're like, maybe I could get this if I throw this Ender Pearl out, but I kind of want to save this. Ender Pearl's precious resources. We've seen them used to chase people down. We've seen them use them to get out of horrible situations, and there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it. And it looks like, I believe, Trav's going to be fighting Preston there. Trav's, we haven't even talked about Trav's skill.
What?
Landon got him, the TNT. Oh, no.
Have we ever seen a TNT actually eliminate somebody, Landon?
Wait.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have either.
Friendly fire, folks. Friendly fire.
I was going to say, I don't think that maybe at that moment they realized who was in front of who, but that is a massive misplay as there goes Landon in the end. So that is not a great situation. I think that is the first time we've seen a self-elimination or a team elimination come through from TNT alone. But my goodness, that is rapidly unfortunate, as that's going to allow for everybody else right in the entire camp. We talk about all the top teams that are out there kind of losing members early. This is a huge benefit for them, and especially Technoblade to kind of carry on forward as we see toward that kill feed. Great God, Tyler won. They lasted a decent amount, so they're getting some survival points, but that's about it.
And Travis was one of the guys who eliminated at least a couple of them. So Needle as well came through. So not a bad play from Travis. We saw maybe his partner get, Quackity. I believe he's still around. Yeah, there he is. He's going to be up there. So Quackity and Travis was kind of definitely in my talking points for the power teams for this week. You always got to put Travis up there, right, playing with C-Scoop at least in previous tournaments. But I got to say, we've seen this map a couple of times, and there's a ton of engagements happening very early on.
Yeah.
Camping Rusher Landon. He's going to be on screen running away currently, potentially going to get into a fight himself. Nice sneaky chest up top there. But FitMC still by his side. They may have a chance.
That's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for
Put
these
your arms
guys.
in the air.
I was. I am rooting for these guys. I'm betting a lot on them, and my expectations for them are pretty high. Like I said, they kind of come from a PvP background. They've gone to the earliest of servers for those who have watched their videos, and obviously the Camping Rusher is kind of more of a Fortnite YouTuber now, kind of provides a lot of updates, and I think I mentioned this last week. He's actually one of my main sources for Friday Fortnite preparation, just because he always has the updates. He's always covering everything, and but his kind of infancy days when it comes into YouTube are all related around some Minecraft. But go and switch over to Vicstar, who I think he's a lone ranger right now. I think he lost his teammate at the very beginning of this game, and we were talking about he and Skeppy were absolutely our front runners. We came into today's broadcast, coming into the studio, and we're like, hey, this is the team to look out for. And for them kind of getting off to a slow start could be what every other roster needs.
I believe Team 1, that's James Charles and Isaac. They might actually take out Jerome and Filza here. They're doubling back. Very low on health. James Charles has the chance to take out Filza, and that would be huge. Yeah. Look at this. Has an Ender Pearl, has full health. It's just going to be a matter of getting this, and it looks like Isaac actually got Jerome. So everything we were saying, guys, they're going to hurt our hearts again.
But weak now is James Charles forced to back off. Teammate to come in for the help. And that's an opportunity to get out of there, so Jerome knows that. And I got to say, over the weeks, we have seen James Charles get better and better.
We have indeed. Someone who's always been great, Vic. Going to chase now Filza right out of the frying pan and into the fire. Although I think that crit bounced Filza just far enough. You might be able to get away from Vicstar, but it's always a matter of who are you running into. Run away from one beast and run right into another.
Oh. Looks stiff. Super Travs just had a few players jump right in front of him, and Afamu just manages to barely get away, but that's not going to stop from the arrows to continue to fire through. As like I said, there's Quackity, there's everybody around this same point of view, and snowballs normally are nice, especially when it comes down to Spleef, but in this mode, not exactly the same.
Damn, I was going to say, look at that. Ender Pearl now out to kind of run away.
Techno and Vicstar.
And Dan TDM, is he still around too? With Techno, well, maybe so. There's been, I got to say, like I said, there's been a ton of engagements happening here. And it is getting crazy. Quackity, though, is going to find Miss San. And that's good for Quackity, right? We're talking about their teams with Travs. And Moxie does go down, too. And I got to say, this Needle has been tearing up. Needle has been getting elim after elim. And, in fact, he has the most elims at this point.
This always happens. There's always someone on the first Hunger Games map who slays out that we don't talk about, and we're forced to talk about them the entire rest of the tournament because they're a threat. But talk about Vicstar running away from Techno and running right into Bajan and Captain Sparkles. That is rough. As Quackity goes down, and, Bajan's got to be careful here, too. You can see the border a little bit weaker than it was last week, but still.
That's a bold challenge, though.
You can't move that fast in Minecraft. I don't think Bajan's going to make it back.
Oh, he's got
a golden apple, though.
He does have that gapple.
I think he'll be okay, but look who's on the other side of it, though. Instantly a team, but they turn around. They're not expecting his position, and why? Because it's actually Captain Sparkles who's trying to take a little bit of the fire and can't get there in time. Bajan Canadian pretty much just happens to get where his fallen teammate was at, and Super Travs will escape. So up for now, but you just look, he instantly turns around, and how many players are in this intersection as things are about to become interesting. Somewhat of a gridlock going down is what we are down to, just 10 players alive. Bajan Canadian currently being challenged from the back by Isaac, and it looks as if he will manage to escape everybody, maybe trying to utilize that cake that could be on the ground. Uncentenary or not, it will help your hearts. And James Charles, he's still in the mix.
James Charles definitely someone to watch out
Oh,
for.
there's Needle.
On to the most elim guy, Needle, right? He comes on the back, and I believe that's going to be 8 hearts as he finally gets dropped and now into Techno. And James is like, all right, maybe I've had enough. I need to get away from here. That's Techno. Chill out a little bit, all right, because he's going to be right on my back. Oh, my gosh, there's no way. Yeah, he goes down. That was, I mean, see, but that's the aggression you expect from Techno and Dan, but you're right, the Ender Pearls were there, but he was getting low in health. He would have used one. I think he would have been down to, what, like 1 or 2 health?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point to bring up, right? Because if he would have utilized those Ender Pearls, he's pretty much just at the bay of just hoping to stay alive. But look at this. Look at this kit that he has right now, 9. I mean, he was really handing off Ender Pearls. He's got a diamond enchanted sword, and at least during the meantime, it is going to be fit. Camping Rusher lingering inside of middle. They've got some free time to that enchanting table.
They do, but that's a diamond sword and full iron armor in the hands of Technoblade, and it seems like the only thing that can slow him down is Dan trying to keep up with him. You see.
Is he using the same skin?
I think so.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
hey,
incredible.
why not? Why not?
100%.
Maybe you can make somebody attack you instead of attacking
Either
Techno.
that or having team jerseys, you're in sync. I like it.
Or maybe the fear, too.
The
like,
fear.
oh, Techno was over there, and it was actually Dan the whole time.
Dan finally has the power.
Oh, look at that. They literally, like, in sequence just waited. And who is this guy? Who's hanging out? This is
Filza.
Filza. Okay,
Always
so he
Filza.
barely has been alive throughout a lot of this game. Currently the solo man.
Just
And
run straight across.
it really is a matter of who wants to kind of rush in first. And Technoblade says, hey, I'll go and take my stab at it, quite literally, as he and Dan TDM want to be careful of their flank. But here comes the engagement. Says who's going to be awarded for it? It will be Dan, so Filza drops. Technoblade pretty much has to back away, and here comes the TNT just to make sure that a few players can be weak. We know Bajan talented with the sword, but also good from afar. Those items in the inventory, every single one of them is always being utilized.
Yeah, Bajan's an excellent archer, right? He knows how to hit his shots from a distance, and now we're down to the final 2 teams. And Bajan Canadian is, in fact, going to take out the camping rusher. He's now and currently the most elims slaying out. But watch out. He knows he's got 2 players up ahead, right? It's going to be Techno, and already you're seeing the chat say, Techno, no win, but I don't think you could stop this train. It's going full speed ahead. Ender Pearl straight into Bajan. Bajan, though, putting up a great fight. Gets Techno down to 5 hearts, but it's not going to be enough. The 2-on-1 able to solidify it. And it is going to be, in fact, Techno and Dan taking the first one. And, hey, shout out to Dan, right? Being still alive at the end. He didn't get taken out.
You can see him right there in the chat saying, woo! Knows
Ric Flair,
exactly what
baby.
he did. And, you know, we were saying that it's always whenever you have somebody teaming with Techno, it's like, okay, we know the big dog's going to eat. We know he's going to take care of business. What else is it going to be? And, you know, Techno took that engagement with just about 9 hearts there, so that wasn't a lot. Needed Dan to move up, and they kind of went up in sequence there. And a great job there. But Trav's another player. We didn't talk enough about him in terms of PvP. I think he has to be a top 3 player. He and C-Scoop can slay out when they're together. And you know that's not going away just because it's Trav's.
Yeah, I got to say, that's my only kind of disappointment was that they're not together, and they haven't been, I think, playing with each other for the last 2 weeks now. And I think last week, as they separated, they finished 10th and 11th respectively, which is kind of odd for me. So maybe that could be a duo that reforms and looks to try to take down what is the massive frontrunner of Technoblade and Dan TDM, as they will come into game number 2 with a very solid advantage, 162 overall score after just 1 game. And you see, just taking up that 2nd place position, we've got good old Captain Sparkles and Bajan Canadian, followed up by Needle and MC Morgan Plays. So kind of a newer roster, one that we didn't get a chance to really discuss because I think they were more of a last-second addition. But hey, my sleeper team, they're in top 5 after the first game. I'm pretty happy with that.
Hey,
I'll take that.
You have to be, right? And I'm also happy. Captain Sparkles Bajan Canadian being in 2nd, right? We talked about it. They need to go ahead and break that top 3. Now they're in 2nd, and I got to say,
I feel so
a
bad
good
for
performance.
Bajan, man. I really do.
Captain Sparkles went
6
down. I know.
places.
I know. And the fact
6
Captain
of 'em.
Sparkles dropped early, too. And Bajan Canadian, I mean, he carried his weight. He carried
did.
his weight.
Yeah, he had actually, I believe, the most elims before that
He
final
did.
fight.
He did.
And the best gear going into that final fight as well. So
And before that, it was Needles.
Right. And, you know, I think if you're going to be the last one left, you should at least have those 2 to your name before it all ends.
Yeah, for sure, right? Now, I know obviously we just watched that Hunger Games kind of go down. It was a fantastic first match to watch when it came to SparkCity, one that we've come pretty familiar with, as that has been kind of a fan favorite for a lot of the players. Now, though, we're getting ready to hop into TNT Run, and so that conversation of Technoblade will continue. because we know he's fantastic at this game mode as well. So much so that he won 7 games in a row, and that spans across 3 weeks. That's not just a matter of, we play 5 or we play 6 or 7 or 8. No, it's a matter of that was a span across 3 different weeks, which screams consistency. Yeah. So if there were any doubters out there for the Blood God, I think in TNT Run he takes just as many heads or just as many lives in this game mode as well. So I think he and Dan, as long as Dan can keep it up, because we've seen him prior whenever a few players, of which will not be named, have tried to bait out Technoblade, have even tried to take him down. Despite winning 3 games in a row, he still went down in the standings. It's all about teammate consistency.
And let's not forget 7 in a row, but even when he lost, he got number 2. He was second place whenever he lost, and I think in the 3rd game that he played, he was like 3rd or 2nd as well. So I mean, it's not like he was like he totally fell off from 1st and then went to worst. No, he like got 2nd and 3rd place, and the only reason because we added decaying blocks, and he kind of wasn't expecting it. Really, no one was. So it kind of threw him off. But even so, he was able to adapt and at least win the first game. But the fact is, he dominates TNT Run, and you can get a ton of points. With there being 18 teams, you're looking at 30-plus points you can get every single round, especially if you're getting first, and that can only be doubled if your teammate, for example, Techno and Dan, if Dan stays alive, at least half, right? I mean, you're looking at 40 points per round going to your inventory, and with a nice-sized lead as it is, things could get dangerous.
We'll see if Dan, or rather, like I said, Dan can kind of keep it up. Technoblade, even guys like Skeppy and Vicstar, after kind of a slower game. A few players, right, who we were kind of having on our line sites, a slower first matchup. They lose a teammate early. They really can't do a whole lot. Without question, players to be looking out for, and even obviously Landon and co. He and Preston together. Excited to see those guys. I'm watching them kind of play Minecraft for years now. They were kind of an original duo for the longest time, and we'll see if they can kind of hold on to that chemistry that a lot of teams maybe are looking and trying to hold. We talked about that's kind of one massive advantage for a few of these duos is the fact that they've been playing for prior weeks, and I think there was a little bit of an explosion there, so that's definitely a wrench in the setup for a few players who aren't ready for it.
Interesting stuff. Explosions, huh? I don't know. Have we seen explosions before?
I don't think so.
That's definitely. Okay, they're power-ups. Okay,
I didn't
so
see
we
who used
do.
it, though.
I don't know who used it, but I mean, that's a ton of blocks. If you get around some players and you use a power-up like that, I mean, you could eliminate, what, 5, 6 players at a time. 100%. Like, that could get crazy. But the fact that the blocks aren't decaying, now we're going to start seeing some players on top. And believe it or not, it's going to be Vicstar. And I say believe it or not, but is it really that surprising? Vicstar, I mean, he pretty much exceeds at everything that is Minecraft, and he's got plenty of blocks to hop on.
Another player that we've been talking about, Skeppy here, no slouch either. Those are really kind of the 3 players that you can always pencil in, along with Beijing Canadian, as being for that top 5 individual score. Skeppy not in the best of positions right now, but he at least has the opportunity here. He's got a lot of blocks you can see at the bottom of the screen, and I know that Vicstar had a ton at the top as well. So keep an eye on that feed in the bottom. I know that Captain Sparkles and Beijing both out. And here is the man of the hour. He's got a lot of real estate to work with as well. And look at how he conserves these blocks as he jumps around.
Well, as he did, as he was.
Techno finally broke the server.
He did.
Wait,
he's that good.
Did we finally ban him?
Is that what happened?
No, we did not. Don't
VAC ban.
So you know what, chat kids? We did not ban Techno. He's still here. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But one thing I did want to highlight, though, you saw Skeppy, right? He was doing phenomenally well at the bottom. But one thing that separates him from Techno is he was taking multiple blocks at a time, and he was just sprinting and running, if you will. Whereas Techno, once again, we highlight it all the time. He jumps on one block at a time, and he's got his timing down so well. It's so clinical. Yeah. That's why he's able to stay alive as much as he does.
Yeah, because I think a lot of players almost just kind of get tunnel vision. They try to run around too long, and then I think what Technoblade does is that he pretty much just evaluates the situation. He knows how much real estate he has, and then from there, he utilizes every block in the way that you're supposed to, treating them almost like playing in slow motion, it looks like, whenever he's at the top. And that's kind of a massive thing to be looking out for, just because as time kind of goes on, he is one of those players that's constantly constantly conserving and being aware of his position. Now, I know we were actually just given a quick little word in terms of the way that TNT Run is going. Unfortunately, we're having some glitches with it, so we are going to be kind of moving on to the next game mode, which, hey, to be honest, for a few players may not be a negative thing. We talked about how this week is pretty much solely PvP based. Also, one of the mini games happens to be KitPVP, so you're not getting that far away from it. So we will be advancing into another Hunger Games here in just a moment. But regardless, though, guys, because we got to watch a little bit, so a few players maybe just increasing their parkour skills a little bit. But that's
it helps, I guess,
yeah,
in some form or another, right? I mean, we talk about some of these Hunger Game maps. I mean, you're pretty high up there in the air. Yeah. I mean, so parkour is a real thing.
It is. It's an integral part of it, I'd say, even if we don't have the big races. And I know for a fact that I think Beijing and Captain Sparkles have to be happy. They went out, and I think that they were both just around that halfway marker.
Yeah.
That's really not a lot. And I thought Bajan stayed at the top for a little bit longer, but we always talk about falling down maybe 2 layers instead of 1, having to prep your jump down.
Right.
So I think they're going to be happy with redo, right, Mulligan? Cool. Let's run that one again as we get into another round of Hunger Games where you know they're going to play well.
Yeah, and I think I was given another update really quickly saying that we are going to attempt to try to do TNT Run again probably after this game. So for those who may be a little bit worried, saying like, oh my gosh, how's that going to affect the standings? We should be able to play that one after. We're going to do all we can to try to make sure that is a possibility. So apologies for that one, but hey, we're getting ready to hop into Breezy, actually here for technically game number 2 if you really want to be specific. But I'm actually excited to watch this one kind of play out because this is personally one of my favorite maps to watch out for. Obviously, a lot of kind of pirate ships on the outside, and you got to be super careful. I do. I love pirates, man. I requested it.
Pirates.
Thank you, Taylor. I feel like you're like my mom, like telling people at the grocery store, like he loves pirates. It's
I'm getting older. I'm proud of my coworkers, if you will. I remember just with Fortnite, you were all about pirates. I introduced pirates, and you were like,
it was great. It was fantastic. Was it not a good idea?
Oh, it was 100%
Do people not love Lazy Lagoon?
Cannons were a little.
No. I'll
you go shoot straight. You go that way, but
guys,
I mean,
it's Monday. We talk about Minecraft.
Excuse me, but yeah,
it's true.
Pirates.
Pirates are cool.
It goes hand in hand.
I'll go with my original talking point as Taylor kind of veered us off a little bit. That was a little bit on you. You have to be honest. That was a little bit on you.
It wasn't.
Oh,
okay, I'm just saying. I'm excited for this map.
Some PvP happening between these two now.
It's true.
I'm the closest to the sword.
That's
all
true.
I gotta say.
I got PvP skills. I can just jump out of the studio if need be. I guess I don't know. Possibly. I have no clue.
Who would win in a race though?
Oh, we've done this. We've done this.
He actually beats me.
Was that supposed to be a surprise? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Breezy, water in Minecraft Monday. How the dynamics of water play out in this map.
I'm trying to get there, 9. I'm trying to get there. I've tried multiple times.
All right, I'm done.
Really quickly, just before we move on, I like this map because of the water that's in it and the factor that you have to utilize boats, and it makes for interesting gameplay. There we go. That's all I was trying to say before we veered off on Minecraft, or rather, before we veered off on Fortnite and races. So there you go.
Keep things interesting. I don't know. Hey. I got an old mind, right? It's just sometimes my mind drifts, and it is what it is.
It's true.
I ask you this question every week, Taylor. While getting it, are you going to offer us any help this week?
What is going on? I'm about to take you both out. I'm about to take both of you guys out. As soon as this camera cuts to the game, it's over. It's just going to be me sitting on the couch after we come back. All right?
You can have a creeper with you if you want, or a nice little Enderman. Just make sure you do not look him in the eyes. That would not be a good thing.
I'll look him in the eyes, too, and take him on.
No. I love watching people play Minecraft for the first time, and they just have no idea how an Enderman works, because if that's the case, it is literally the most horrifying thing in like gaming.
Oh, it is.
And like your gaming. And for like kids who play Minecraft too, it's like, oh my god, like what is about to happen? It's amazing. It's actually crazy. So you got to be careful.
I was playing with my girlfriend the other day, and she was watching. I think one of them spawned up.
Oh man.
So don't look at it.
Don't look.
It's so hard. So don't look at it. It's so hard.
As long as your cursor doesn't go over it, you're fine. But
when you tell somebody not to look at it, the first thing they're going to do is look at it. Yeah, that's how it goes. It makes such a unique and otherworldly sound too, compared to the normally relaxing Minecraft sounds.
It's freaky. It is literally.
It is kind of like an interesting dynamic, right? Because you have like the peaceful music, everything's nice and calm, and then you have that. It's kind of like what?
Kind of like what?
What's going on here?
I don't know. What is going on here? Here we go, folks. It's time for our next match. We got Hunger Games again. Excited to see how this match will be playing out. As like we talked about, we're heading toward Breezy, personally one of my favorite maps, one that's really been in Hunger Games and kind of Minecraft servers for the longest of times. Map that has possessed a ton of highlight moments, and one of those guys who's provided us with those highlight moments happens to be Mr. Technoblade, who always discusses he does not want to go for the chests in the middle. He wants to try to go toward the outside and wants to try to make the plays happen elsewhere, which seems to be the case right now.
And I think it's such an important dynamic on this map as well. We've talked about how important center control is. Really on this map, you've got pirate ships, you've got a bunch of dislocated islands, and then you have the center, and there's not much room. This was the original 250-point game that Techno dazzled us with way back when. We constantly reference back to that, but it is so easy to trap people as they come back in, playing that gatekeeping role, to reference another thing you talk about, Taylor.
Yeah, gatekeeping role, right? I mean, it definitely matters whenever it comes to BRs. And for all intents and purposes, this is a BR game mode, right? You have a zone that collapses down. You try to be the last one who's staying alive at the end, so it definitely matters. But you're right. The water does add an interesting dynamic, especially if you have someone on the land. Like, imagine if they're swimming across the water, they get halfway, and you have that player on the other side sitting on the sand. He's going to be ready to take you out as soon as you enter land. And the same goes for this height, right? If you're up in the air, wow, there you go. First Elam coming through. And, yeah, I think that was with the shovel. But with that being said, shovels, they can be deadlier than swords. You got to watch out. Depends on whose hands it's in.
I think James Charles, it was like the way that their characters just kind of roamed throughout their map. It was like James Charles was almost signifying and saying, hey, he hit me. Go get him. And so it was at that moment where Isaac was like, who hit you? I'm going to go take him down. And here we go. This is the fight that we were discussing. And, of course, it's Technoblade, as it was Isaac who did all he possibly could to try to keep the team up. And it's going to be James Charles now, who is all by himself. And Techno, he's not stopping anytime soon. He wants all of these points, no matter who he has to go through, even if it's James Charles, who has one heart. One heart.
Oh, no, and he fell in the water one too many times. He's got to hit these park. We were just talking about how important parkour is. He misses one, and he pays
he was so young.
Ultimate price right there. And now there's Needle over there. Look at that. Look at over there. He's looking. He's looking. Do I want to fight? Do I want to poke the beast?
I don't think he wants to.
They're getting awful close. I'm not sure.
But they're doing like a little sidestep while also looking, and it's like they're kind of like poking the beast, but not really. There they go. They're running away. I don't blame them.
No, well, there's not a lot of mobility in water either, so
yeah.
I wouldn't blame them if they thought, okay, if we just get over to shore and then wait for them to come to us, maybe we can get the jump on them. But as you see right here, plenty of piranhas in the water currently. Two of our best teams fighting it out.
And I love what they're doing right here. I'm not sure if that was an egg or a snowball, but okay, it was an egg. I love the idea that what they're doing, and we've discussed how do you try and counter the in-water type play if you're being, pretty much chased. What do you do? Hey, toss out something that kind of stuns the enemy. Toss out a few things that pretty much allows for them to get distance off. So that's going to be a huge moment for them to kind of stay alive. It was Captain Sparkles and Paige and Canadian. As there goes Jerome. Filza fell just before, but clearly he was climbing up on a few vines, and Lauren says, hey, I'm fine to take you down. No worries there.
Gotta say, I can see why this is your favorite map. I mean, there's so who's up here hiding.
They don't know. They don't know. They don't see her.
Someone looked like they were looking up.
Technoblade didn't see her.
This is an opportunity either to hide and save your life
Oh,
or to come in on the attack. Moxie, though.
Moxie saw her.
Oh, Moxie, is going for it. XQC as well.
TNT
Lauren wants to drop it.
They both got it.
Okay, they both get away. We see TNT in someone's life a little bit earlier, so I'm like, oh, you got to watch out, Moxie.
And this is those 3P opportunities as well that they're kind of distancing and saying, hey, if you want to engage, we're happy to try and finish you off, if you will. As it's pretty much who wants to try to go for Lauren. And it looks as if it will be Morgan Plays, who does take down Lauren in the end. And now here comes a multitude of players, one of them being Technoblade, who's down to 7 hearts, tosses out what is going to be the final blow as XQC says goodnight to Technoblade. Dan will be there, and I think manages to escape, but to no avail. Technoblade falls, and it's to the man XQC, who despite dropping, is hyped about that.
Got to be right there. I'd love to hear the comms on that one, too.
Oh,
and
man.
You talked about the 3P opportunities. That was just both of those monstrous teams waiting for, okay, who's going to go first? Who's going to go first? And credit to Dan holding on right here. Now I think all Dan really has to do is wander around the map, maybe hide a little bit, get some survival points. The job's been done. They were well in the lead in the Elam count before they went down.
Well, and also, too, they're in the lead when it comes to overall points, 50 or 60 points. So survival points definitely are going to matter. So if Dan could just stay alive, he could still keep them very much so in this. They may drop a couple of places, but it won't be as bad as it probably could have been if both of them would have dropped a little bit earlier. But Asian Canadian, Captain Sparkles, they are not doing too bad themselves. Still in second place overall, but Captain Sparkles goes down, and to Travs, of course, who has been performing so well throughout the weeks. And, yeah, unfortunately, Beijing Canadian, he's going to have to run away. But, Travs, he's going to let him get away. And already up close and personal, he's going to lose some hearts. It's going to be a long, drawn-out fight. But even so, I don't think he can get away. Quackinigo going down. That's going to hurt, right? And to none other than Skeppy.
Yeah, that was the Skeppy and Vicstar were coming behind there to make that play happen. You see them. We haven't talked about them a lot. They've been maybe a little bit more passive, maybe a little bit more conservative here at the start of the game, letting some of these big teams take one or two of themselves out. And you see they've done that with Travs, they've done that with Beijing Canadian, they've done that with Techno. So that's really 3 of our top teams that are down in a big way. So I think this is a very legitimate strategy here. Wait for the top teams to knock each other out, then kind of come in, get 6 or 7 elims at the end, and get the big points. And Travs, tempting fate here, has better gear, though, than Skeppy. Needs to wait for Vicstar, and now this is where it starts to get grim.
Oh, but he does have some arrows. The question remains, though, how many items does he have to keep the fight on going? And Skeppy finding a few things in the water and still firing off a few arrows, ones that could land or could just start to falter, and maybe they're starting to evaluate their position and saying, hey, should we just let him go? As it looks as if he could be running into what would be another player on the opposite shoreline, but instantly, here comes some fights. It's actually going to be Morgan Plays, who does take down a 60. And there goes Bad Boy Halo, and Skeppy says, hello, old teammate. How's it going, buddy? Nice to take you down, defending champions. I have no idea what you mean. I'm with Vicstar this week. It's going to be a fantastic one to continue, but there we go. The fights start to ensue, and this one's not over yet as a group of random little chickens just start to spawn up. Okay.
Chicken or seagulls?
That's chickens. But
they
could look like seagulls.
They're just out in the water. They're just hanging out, having a good time. Meanwhile, a bloodbath is happening right next to them, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Man.
But, yeah, players go down, and Skeppy's going to get dropped by none other than Needle. Needle continues to surprise us.
And not only did Travs get away, Travs got 2 picks there in that situation. Has to be right near the top of the gear battle, and certainly the most elims. So many killers in this bracket, man. We've been talking, it's like every second we see one of our big teams fighting, and you got to love it.
I think they, Teaming Our Frags and Co., I think he and Landon were pretty much just throwing around a few items, a few weapons, as they're pretty much kind of playing that same passive role. One of the few teams, rather, who's kind of on these separate islands and not wanting to get in the huge engagement. Same thing with Travs, right? Kind of hanging out in the outskirts, just waiting for the barrier to start to close in. And you see compasses right and available in 5 seconds. That's going to allow for players to know who's kind of in that surrounding area. And it will be Dennis, who does take down Dan. So he and Technoblade, that means Dan and Technoblade to be exact, right, are earning no more points for the rest of this game. And they're still, right, are 14 players alive. You'd like to imagine, depending on the teams that are just below them in the standings, as they start to kind of progress forward, start to maybe take down a few more players, earn some points, they could lose that first place position.
Look how aggressive Needle is, just straight into the player. TNT out, focus attention on behind, but still peppering shots.
Wow.
And he is connecting, and that's going to be enough. And Needle takes 2 players out. That's going to be Dennis and Sub-Zero. Phenomenal work, and the zone is going to be right there. Definitely worth it to kind of, peer off and get some items there. But Needle clearly somebody we have to continue to watch out for, and he's in the best position right on that gatekeeper role. Players pushing in. They're losing health. We already seen how accurate and deadly he could be with his arrows, and that's going to be it. You see one player going down. That's actually Beijing Canadian taking out Camping Rusher and Fit.
And there, Needle gets him down. For those of you not aware for how it works, if you get the last hit on somebody when they're out there and then the barrier takes them down, you get those points. So there, MC Morgan Plays, and Needle were like, let's just hit one of them each time, and then we get it. And Beijing actually managing to hit one of them last to get that elim is a big, big deal for them. But again, that is the risk you run when you are sitting out there on the outside trying to avoid the problem. You can't move in and get past that barrier when the water's there.
Oh, man. So many moments going down, so many crucial plays, as it looks as if tossing in a few items, and it looks as if Needle and Co., they kind of hold on to that middle position as Travs on the outskirts has a good situation, but Landon comes through, and now it's going to be an awkward position. He does have that diamond sword, and that diamond enchanted sword, if you will, but having to retreat, maybe go down with his ship, and does everything possible and has to allow for Teaming Our Frags to back up, jumps in the water, and takes the gapple. Travs, a good effort, and these arrows can only do so much. He pops right back out, and he will distance off 2 players for the moment. Very well played from Travs, but it's just a matter of not having the teammates available and so many players around him. A good player, but we'll see if he can keep it up. As you notice, Vicstar, he's just getting out of the zone as well.
So many decisions to be making right now. Where do I go? Who do I opt to fight? Where do I back up? Vicstar goes down, so Vicstar and Skeppy not even going to be in the top 3 teams. Trav's going to go down in a fight here. Oh, look at that. Got both of them. I thought for sure he was just saying, well, you know, if I'm going down, I'm going down swinging. How about taking them both out? Certainly the leader right now in terms of elims, and now Needle here to just try to clean up. An enchanted axe. You're going to win that one more often than not. But man, what can you say about Travs engaged in a 3P, 4P, seemingly 5P situation?
And just before that, right, keeping the teams at bay as well as he did, despite being weak, forced them to back off. I got to say, the distancing effort that he put in was phenomenal, and that is why he's one of the top players that we kind of, consistently talk about, always in the mix and always being up there. And you can only imagine if he had his normal teammate, right, of Scoop, right, how things could be playing out. But Skeppy obviously played very well himself, but the man that we've been talking about nonstop, Needle MC Morgan plays. Needle is tearing it up, and I gotta say, the aggression that he has whenever he pushes forward is insane, only unmatched by that of Techno.
Yeah, I mean, like his combos kind of toward the end were fantastic. It was just a matter of running into players. Okay, let me throw you a few snowballs. Let's get you stunned, and then I'm going to start to engage. Just fantastic play coming through from him. But hey, this is by far one of the best moments of today's play. A 1v2, I mean, pretty much at the end, it was Needle who clotheslined him, but regardless of that 1v2 just before we got taken down was super impressive. And for those who maybe didn't even realize it, he also did the exact same thing just a few moments prior in that pirate ship. So very good play for Travs, as he'll be pretty much taking on toward that third place position. Just above him, though, is Technoblade and Dan TDM, who do fall from first, and well-deserved. Needle MC Morgan plays take that first place position at 282 overall score. They came through big in that last game, gentlemen, and I'll be honest, they made it look easy once they started to kind of catch some momentum.
And them taking over middle control, right? Center control, as you kind of called it, right? That was very important, to say the least. Getting over there before anybody else did, forcing everybody to come in, fight off the zone, which always wins, as we know from other BRs, right? You never want to be fighting against the zone. You'll never win. But the point is,
zone always wins eventually.
It always wins eventually. They take center control. They let their opponents come to them, and they take them out with ease, as they were weak from the zone pushing in. But I got to say, great stuff coming out for Needle MC Morgan. Obviously taking over, first place, ahead of Techno by like 50, 60 points. So the roles literally reversed from the first game. But what makes me sad, though, Captain Sparkles, Beijing Canadian, they dropped down to 146. But what is impactful about this? It's only the second game, but they're already down nearly 100 points.
Yeah. That's a good point, right? I mean, that's a team that you always look out for, and I think maybe a team who thrived a decent amount when it came down to the mini games. I mean, that was a team who constantly in Find the Button, constantly even in Run from Lava, were always kind of in that mix. So that could be something that, one team that maybe starts to get affected by. We'll have to kind of see, right? The first two games are through. We'll now be advancing in toward TNT Run by definition for game number 3. As we're back, like we talked about earlier, we apologize for the minor issues that we were having with it, so it should be all dandy now. Should all be working in the proper fashion. As when we kind of left this area, it was a question of, hey, can Technoblade and Dan TDM kind of keep up this same type of play style as Dan kind of holds on for the team? He and Techno could start to rise to the occasion and start to rise to the ranks. My big question, though, is now the team that currently sits in first place, Needle and Morgan. How do they play when it comes to the TNT Run?
Yeah, because we know Techno, right, wins a ton of them. But I want to highlight something real quick, though. Top scorer, by the way, Tyler 1. Congratulations. Tyler 1 dominating the competition. It just defaulted to his name, but we might not see that again.
Hey, with good reason defaulting to Tyler 1's name. Put some respect on it.
I like it. It's actually a game mode he might do decently well at.
I mean, yeah, if you understand the mechanics of Minecraft's jump and parkour, and if you're able to move around and just manage your blocks, this seems to be something in theory you could do. But as you see, Skeppy, I have to imagine, has played a few rounds of this in his life, and it is not easy, already on the bottom. We saw this from him in the last game that we saw this here, our mulligan that we've gone through as well. This changes so quickly.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And Skeppy as well, right? It's always a player that we kind of have on our minds when it comes into TNT Run. I know we obviously talk about Technoblade, and for good reason, as he is one of the sole men at the top side trying to utilize that jumping and that slow kind of play strategy, and it is seeming to work very, very well. As I don't know how he does it. He literally just always has one block available to him. And just as I start to give him some props, he does fall down to the second tier, which he will have a little bit of hearsay, and he keeps on going down and staying alive. But like I said, Skeppy, Technoblade, always top competitors, as we'll see if they can keep it up, as there are only 2 players left. So who's here with Technoblade? I'm actually really curious about that.
That is the real question. And
it's
Preston, you got it, the minigame lord himself.
He's on, what, the second level?
I think they're on the same layer, and Preston gets the victory. Preston ran out of, or I'm sorry, Techno ran out of blocks on the side. Techno admits, I have been defeated. And by who else, too? It's Preston. Who
Yeah.
originally dethroned this man in Run from Lava? Anything that's related to parkour, you have to give props to the king himself, TBNR Frags, a.k.a. Preston.
The rusty man himself. Still incredibly
Still
rusty
rusty.
at the game.
Still rusty.
When's he going to knock up that rust, man? I don't know. You imagine how good he could be if that was the case.
Not even his final form.
Hasn't reached it yet, but maybe this week. Could be eclipsing that position, getting his second title, as we talk about constantly.
Greek on your screen, Landon. This is the man I wanted to say. He is zooming.
He is.
He is cruising through this. There he goes. All right, I was wondering, does he know how to jump? Okay, now he definitely does. Player just behind. And this strategy is great, right? When you have yep, exactly. Because when you have a lot of blocks, it's phenomenal. But if you don't jump and you don't prioritize your jumps, I mean, Greek, you might have a hard time.
Yeah. Well, we always talk about how, one of the reasons this is such a chaotic game is because you can't control what the other players are doing. They might be eliminating most of the map before you even look up. Like, all right, playing here in the middle. But, oh, my God, wait, why did the entire second layer go away?
It's a real thing.
Technoblade actually just fell toward the second tier, and normally that would be, okay, average discussion. But for him, it actually is something pretty notable. Right, the runner-up in that last game, as we currently have our screen there for a moment on toward Dennis, as he was holding it up toward the top side, as we see a few players starting to fall toward that final tier, that final layer. We see Jack, Dolan Dark, actually TBNR Frags already down here, which could be somewhat of a call for concern when everyone's dropping in this position, right? That many blocks start to kind of dissipate and fade away. It could cause for some concern as one player just toward the back of Captain Sparkles is now sitting in the respawn screen as Jordan is hanging on right now.
All right, Philza, I see you over here. Very methodical. I think, yeah, this is definitely the bottom layer, I do believe. So he's going to go ahead and rock on the edge. Smart strategy, right? Staying on the edge. You have so many individual blocks. Typically, everybody focuses on the middle. And the middle, too, is a good place to be. Over your Sub-Zero, though. Kind of going with the different strategy, skipping a couple of blocks, maybe so he can go ahead and backtrack.
I believe Techno is actually out there. You no longer see his name at the top score. MC Morgan plays going down here, so Sub-Zero, a name that we didn't even bring up at all. There you go right there, a victory. And look at that, the mouse going crazy there, the neck flying backward as if it is the Exorcist. That is a horrifying sight to see. But another crazy sight to see, 0-2 right now is Techno.
Yeah.
You got to understand, we went 3 weeks with this man almost never losing.
That's true, right? And something that Landon kind of brought up a little bit earlier, with Needle, MC Morgan plays doing so well. Now heading into TNT Run, MC Morgan plays just won one, Landon.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously in that conversation of being in the top, so my goodness, this is getting interesting. This is definitely kind of becoming intriguing in terms of that conversation for how these games are progressing, how they're looking, and which teams are being more consistent over those mini games, which we talk about this week are no longer the majority of concern. But regardless, though, their consistency has been fantastic, and you've got to admire it. As we're looking at a few players, Technoblade falls to the second layer as he pretty much just got in the mix of a 3-player race, all looking for one block, and he's the one who unfortunately sees the bitter end of it.
Taking a look at Moxie, of course, known for the PvP skill, but again, these players who come from other games, the crossover, right? You know they are amazing at everything related to video games, and every week they get a little bit better. I remember the first time we were like, yeah, XQC and Moxie, let's go, top 9.
Yeah, top 10,
and it suddenly was
yeah.
top 6, and now it's, if they play well in this last game, they'll win Minecraft Monday, and you have to imagine that they continue to develop here as we look at MC Morgan plays. As we were just talking about, has to keep it up in this mini game before another round of PvP.
I want to say XQC Moxie, what the highest placement's been 4th place?
I think so.
Yeah,
4th
Yeah,
or 6th.
it was in that week 6 where 4th place to 1st place was 50 points. Incredibly close that week, and it came down to that very last Hunger Games that did not unfortunately go their way. But you know they're hungry. They expect to win. They do. It is not a matter of this is not our main game, but it's they expect to win. They have a lot of pride and playing well right now. They will certainly deserve it.
Ooh, Moxie cutting a little close, but still plenty of blocks. You can imagine if Moxie wins, XQC's going to be pretty.
Ooh.
Oh, no! His 2 players dropped just below. That's a tough break, falling so far down. Is that Bad Boy Halo?
Right here? No, this is Technoblade.
Oh, is that Techno? Okay.
Oh, Vicstar's going to try to cut him off. No, opting not to dance with him there. They're still all
might come
there,
back.
though. Oh, this battle of wits right now.
Oh,
I
think Vic fell.
Yeah, Vic lost it.
Down to top 3.
I was going to say Technoblade. I think after this does not. Oh, he always does. What?
He just cut off
What?
Morgan.
Oh,
he
you
cut off.
vicious
Are
man.
you kidding me?
You savage.
That was the perfect time. And oh my gosh, he's got a decent amount of blocks still remaining just in front. He's going to have to make some magic happen here. Can he get over to
might be
Sandblock?
it.
No, he cannot, and it will be Basti who actually wins this one. So props to him, as that will be our 3rd round in the book. So props, right? We didn't see Technoblade win any of
But
these
he
games.
He did get second.
Second
in 2
twice.
games.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he did get that second place position just behind them. So what? That's 2 points that he doesn't earn because it's all just based off survival points. So it's not going to impact a crazy amount. But you never know. 2 points played a factor last week for good old Technoblade. But I'm not trying to bring up a sore subject. Love the Blood God for a reason, right? But you do have to bring it up. Those points are influential, to say the least. But some pretty interesting moments, right? Some kind of players we were talking about, could they start to kind of keep it up? And we saw some interesting winners, some interesting players start to come through and really have a decent amount of difference.
Yeah, Sub-Zero, MC Morgan, Basti coming through, right? Some players that we've been talking about a little bit. Sub-Zero, seen him in Hunger Games, Basti as well, but it's nice to see number 1, right? Needle, MC Morgan plays, still up there, and by a good, sizable lead over Techno and Dan, 385 to 454, and you got to look at 3rd, right? Already 264. That is nearly 200 points behind 1st of Needle and MC Morgan.
Yeah, players starting to distance themselves, starting to hold on and progress forward. But like we said, guys, we are 3 games in, and we're going to throw it to a quick little commercial break. When we return, it is time for some more Hunger Games, this time on Par 72. We'll be right back.
What if I had my own G Fuel flavor? Introducing Cotton Candy G Fuel. Get it now at gfuel.com.
Can't let me go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, week number 8, as we're hopping in toward our next match. We've got Hunger Games playing it out on par 72, and clearly we are already hopping into this one, so much so that nearly half the lobby seems to be in the action already to this point. We're hopping on with Skeppy and Vicstar to kick things off, but no, we actually switch over toward Greek God, as he and Tyler 1, I think, both have fallen, and in the very beginning stages of this matchup, which is not great to see. But regardless, though, it's myself, Landon Lando Sanders on the mic, along with Reflections and 9-Hole Grains. Boys, we are off to a very interesting beginning and in the very early stages of that.
Yeah, once again, right, Travis going to be all by himself. Quackity dropping a little bit earlier. You see him now running away. Damage control a little bit. Finally able to get some hearts, hopefully back up at 13. I mean, you're not in the range of being one shot, but it definitely at the range of if two players push you, there's not a lot you can do. So this is one of my favorite maps. I particularly like that. And specifically, though, Travs, passing over that bridge, if you go to the right of that, it's a dead end. We've seen a lot of players' lives end at that point. So hopefully no one thinks that's a good place to hide, because you can get dropped very quickly.
And already we're seeing MC Morgan plays. The teammate of Needle, I believe, has 3 elims already. You see taking over the top elim score, and with it best gear. Those two very often belong to the same person. You do get to pick up your opponent's items when you grab them, of course, but guys, we're going to need that team to drop early if this is to be anything but a runaway right now. They have
honestly,
not slowed down at all over the course of these maps.
And that's the one scary problem, is whenever these kind of top-tier teams take down each other, it's only going to allow for their job to be that much more simple. And there we go. Morgan drops Fit, and the camping rusher has to do one of two things, right? Has to try to back away or try and stay up for as long as he can, as it looks as if James Charles and Isaac actually going for the engagements already onto Travs. We know how talented he can be, especially he displayed that in our last game.
Oh.
And he could be in the midst of trying to go for this 1v2.
I think he's doing it. They're forced to back up. Now, they went from being the aggressors now on the defense, right, pushing back. But now the sandwich is coming into play, and Travs does have to be very careful at this moment in time. Travs is clearly a beast. Okay, that's one. Right. That's James.
Oh, yep. He's going to win this.
Yeah, and you get all of the health back, too, if you click on the floating head of the person that you've taken down. And Technoblade getting the revenge from last game, saying, I'm going to take both of you out here. There will not be a trade right there, and you see sitting at the top. But, man, it's approaching Travs. You're trying to punch a lion right there. That hurts.
All right, I'm calling it for next week. Travs, Technoblade together.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I like that.
And honestly, even in the mix now, MC Morgan plays and Needle, but an engagement happening. Vicstar takes out Afamu.
Looks as if there goes Landon, and I think TBNR for Axe. Preston has to back out, and he's being thrown a number of different things, eggs to be exact, and TBNR for Axe is not excited or ecstatic about this situation that he currently faces. He knows he has to go on the run for his life, and Dan TDM never has been this hungry before. But he's starting to see some new life as little by little he's waiting for the engagements. He's only got potatoes. Actually does have a few steaks as well, and there we go. Bajan actually does take down TBNR for Axe. So I was going to say for the moment it looked good, but that was when we see the 3P opportunity come through. Mr. Minecraft, he and Captain Sparkles looking fantastic, as that is another opportunity where a kill stealing is there. The opportunity presents itself, and they seize that chance.
They do, and I wondered if they were going to continue to run after, and it looks like they're going to wait a little minute. That's Skeppy, I believe, who's up there as well. So this is potentially 3 of our top teams fighting, and they're in a really bad spot here. I don't think Skeppy knows about this 3P. Are they going to double back and try to take out Vic?
Oh, this is going to be a big move. To get Vic out this early is going to be amazing for Bajan Canadian Captain
There's
Sparkles. But there it is. Yes, Skeppy on the back. Bajan Canadian onto the back of Vic as well. And it's going to be a bloodbath. And now Bajan taken down to just 11. Tries to pull out the Gapple. Not able to take it, but Skeppy is going to get dropped. Vic still remains. And does he fight? Well, he has no choice. He's going to go ahead and try to run away. But in the meantime, Techno comes through out of absolutely nowhere and takes Bajan out.
Did they forget how that 3P started? It was chasing Technoblade. Then they opted to fight, and Techno was like, just come on in. Just,
Quite literally. You want to get involved with the fight? No problem. There goes Vicstar, as Jordan, a.k.a. Captain Sparkles, will walk away with that one. So while he does lose his teammate Bajan in the end of things, The fights are continuing to ensue, and this is the roster. This is the fight that we wanted to see. Technoblade and Dan versus Morgan and Needle, and Dan comes up big for the roster, dropping the first, and now they realize they smell blood in the water. The Blood God, he is ready for another, and he knows the Ender Pearls. These are important ones to utilize, and there is the silence. Not many players will earn double Ender Pearls, but that roster in particular, that one meant a little bit more than prior as Technoblade comes through big, and it looks like Captain Sparkles does take down Trav, so a lot of crucial elims coming through, but more specifically, that is a massive win for Dan TDM and Technoblade, considering where they were on the scoreboard and in combination to where obviously we saw Needle and Morgan be at.
Yeah, I mean, top 5 right now are battling it out, and we're seeing constant top 5 action, and Captain Sparkle still being alive, taking out Travs is big because Travs was in 3rd place with Quackity. Now, that could potentially move Captain Sparkle's Bajan Canadian up with Vicstar and Skeppy now down. They were in 4th. You can only imagine they're going to continue to drop, and Needle and MC Morgan being in a fight with Techno, that hurts, right? Because they were in, or excuse me, Needle MC Morgan were in 1st at 454, and Techno was in 2nd with 385. They could very well take the lead and have a nice size lead because when MC Morgan as well as Needle dropped, there were still 10 teams left. Now there's 7, and we know what Techno and Dan could do when 7 teams are remaining. We're talking about a ton of points from a ton of elims.
And again, with Travs down, Captain Sparkles being by himself as well, that means really the Fangs have been taken out as we see Sub-Zero fresh off the victory in TNT Run, playing a little tennis. Gotta appreciate it. But again, we so often see when it gets down to this situation where there's only 11 players left, the team that's in the center, as we see Techno and Dan being, who get to control these drops, can get to control the enchantments, they kind of clean up. The ratio is great. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get at least 4 or 5 of those elims.
Yeah, it could start to get a little bit scary. And as you mentioned kind of prior to that 1-9, it was a matter of, hey, all the teams that are kind of left, for the most part, are depleted, right? Their resources, their numbers are low. Captain Sparkles being one of those players, is obviously today was referencing a few of the score lines, a few of the teams right now in terms of that conversation. And right now, Cupquake, Lauren, they're just trying to get through this barrier, as I'm not sure if they're going to be able to survive this one. It's getting a little bit close, and I know they were trying to stay up, as Lauren and Cupquake, I think, may stay alive, but look at this. Who's on the other? who's just waiting for them? The Ender Pearl actually gets rocked, and it could distract a decent amount. And here we go. Here come the fights. Jack, along with Wilbur, they're ready for these moments. And Cupquake, can she get it just in time? And she will. But right on the other end of it is a clothesline from Wilbur, very well played. And I got to say, he had a diamond sword ready for her at the end of that one. So that could be a team to look out for based off of just kits and weapons.
That's the benefit of playing the Gatekeeper role, right? You find players who are weak from the zone pushing in. They have to push straight into you. But good stuff from Techno. Enchanted Diamond. I think that's the only thing. But 2 Ender Pearls, a couple of potions, and yeah, they'll go and throw that out for the time being. 4 teams remaining, kitted up. There's no reason why Techno and Dan don't take this out and Jack Messi and Wilbur. They're going to be hanging out in the distance.
Yep.
This, yeah, exactly right. I mean, they have to outlive at least 2 more teams, make it top 2. It's some survival points.
You see Captain Sparkles. Everybody at this moment is just waiting. Everyone's waiting for their opportunity. And Technoblade most likely giving the call that is Captain Sparkles. You obviously can see that signified by the cape, the OG one. Technoblade's even tossing out a few things from his inventory, so I didn't even need that axe anyway. No big deal. Maybe use it as a drawing effect, as could maybe bring in a few people. But he does have a mushroom stew. He's got pretty much everything that you could ask for. And Captain Sparkles is making his way around what seems to be the outskirts. So I think he was trying to catch a few players, but here comes that zone. And regardless of whether you wanted to engage or not, now you will have to.
Oh, Wilbur.
And Wilbur looking to place down that TNT, and it's going to be nice. And he does have that diamond sword, but he puts it to no use. It really comes in and is a non-factor. But here comes Filza. Here is Jack Sucks at Life. 2 players from 2 different teams trying to unite, but that's not stopping Techno and Dan.
You can't stop it, right? Once the train is going, it's hard to get it to stop. Filza, though, plenty of TNT. At least takes 1 heart off. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. And there it is. The Filza is going to go down. But that's Captain Sparkles picking up 1, so that's good for Beijing Canadian and co. But in the end, Techno finishes it off, and he had a phenomenal game. The fact that he finishes off with best gear at 29, that's an extremely high stat line for that. top score, most elims, and with him already being in second place, MC Morgan, Needle being eliminated at, at least top 10, Techno, Dan, they could have a serious lead right now.
They could. We'll have to see exactly where it is, but you have to imagine that one was around 150, if not more points.
Yeah.
Of course, all the elims right there coming in from both. And you know what was really sweet about that? I know Techno ended with best gear, but Dan had it for part of the time, too. This is clearly a situation. 100%. They're just tossing it around. They're saying, okay, you get the good gear, I get the good gear. Just give me the better sword. That's all I need. Just give me the better sword, and I will do the work for you, my friend.
I know, obviously, it was a matter of, kind of Techno and Dan at the end really kind of having the spotlight. But I got to say, CapSparklez did a fantastic job kind of throughout that game. He was taking down some top-tier players. He even came through for a few 3P opportunities. And I think at the end gained enough survival points to at least kind of allow for him and Beige. And I think in back-to-back Hunger Games, they haven't been alive at the same time. But respectively, they've been kind of clutching up, trying to do everything they can despite having the numbers. So they will earn some survival points. They will earn some eliminations. But we'll go ahead and take a look at our scoreboard for now. And as you correctly called it, guys, Technoblade and Dan TDM, they will overtake that lead off of that win on par 72. Now, with 561 overall score, just below them, Needle and MC Morgan. But guys, this is looking a little bit like a two-horse race. CapSparklez, the Page Canadian, not a crazy amount away, but if it continues to be this same situation of these two top caliber teams facing off against each other, Bajan and CapSparklez pretty much just being in a solo spot, it's going to remain the exact same situation that it is right now.
I hope not. I mean, they are in third. Yeah. Granted, though, they were in fifth before going into this Hunger Game.
It's just a matter of they keep losing their forces, so you're kind of limited. And these 1v2 clutches have been great, but you can only accomplish so much, I feel like, with one person.
Yeah, because they're rare, to be able to do it. And the thing is, too, it's kind of interesting. Captain Sparkles ended up clutching, at least at the end there, surviving, getting second. Bajan Canadian was the guy who got second at the last time. But here we are now back into KitPVP, a chaotic one to say the least. And I don't know if you guys caught any of the clips from Tyler 1 as well as Greek last time, but I think Greek was giving Tyler a little bit of a lesson. And he was getting pretty upset because Greek kept shooting him and wasn't allowing him to get at least some momentum to learn what the game or how it was played. But with that being said, though, I think we're watching the different perspectives. And here we go. This is what I wanted.
Oh, no.
Come over here, dude. Over here.
I cannot wait to see how these guys communicate with each other. This is going to be phenomenal. And I think last week it was Tyler 1 who was calling out saying, how do I not have any kills?
He's going to be so mad if he doesn't kill Bad Boy here.
Oh, he was... He gets so close every week to punching his monitor.
How many monitors do you think he's been through in his lifetime?
He's got to be careful, though, how to utilize these potions. That's kind of the one big thing about the kits this week is the ability to utilize this. I think one of them was the Swiftness potion, and oh, man, I think he loses out on that one. At least he's providing some support fire. And
is he?
Some support slays. He definitely is. He's hitting a few shots, but, oh, Technoblade, you never want to try to engage with him, and there's another one. Oh, my goodness. That's unfortunate.
He got killed by James Charles.
Oh, no.
He's laughing. He laughs.
What a perfect perspective to come in on after seeing Tyler is Techno dies and all he does is laugh.
Oh, no. Tyler didn't even get a hit there, mind you, as he gets taken out once again, but granted by Vicstar, though.
Oh, you got to love this guy, just how chill he is about everything. Going to come in here and, if there was ever a mode for Techno's style of play, which is just run in and swing, this would be exactly it. Because as you can see, there's not really any respawn time to note. And takes out Skeppy, and it looks like he and Dan are actually teaming up here. A little bit of strategy.
I like it, right? Dan is, I've got to say, he's been playing very well. I mean, he's been keeping alongside Techno the entire time. And look at this guy.
What?
Look at this guy.
How is he still alive right now? Like,
he never dies.
I don't understand how he was involved in 4 different team fights and still was never taken down. As we'll now take a quick little gander over at James Charles. One of those kills, by the way, happens to be on Technoblade. So we'll see if that can continue to be a trend as now he's facing off against Captain Sparkles.
Okay.
And we know his history with Captain Sparkles as well. The first ever elim that James Charles got was actually on Jordan as well. So you got to kind of keep that in mind as he is full on focused.
you see his face like, oh no.
I don't know if you guys saw in the bottom, Tyler 1 got the Elim on Technoblade.
Did he?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, he probably was like going off, but I think that's his only Elim. Though, so, but hey,
That counts for 10.
It counts for 10,
It
right?
really
I
should.
was going to say that in Hunger Games, we need to give Tyler and Greek kind of like a little boost. If they get one Elim, which they haven't yet, I'm like, hey, give them 50 points. Just throw it their way, right? Let them feel good. But I got to say, James, hey, tearing it up, playing very well.
Oh, and here's XQC. Actually catches a few players just on the flank, and I don't think he'll walk away with any of those, which is not the greatest situations. Has a few opportunities to take down Dan, but we know, all right, XQC, he and Moxie, very talented when it comes down to these PvP modes. And it looks as if he's going to go and toss out a few potions, try to focus his attention on toward Dolan Dark, and can't get it done there, but they're actually, what, I think the highest team right now is up to 34.
30, yeah.
And right now, XQC and Moxie, they're sitting at 13, so there is definitely a front runner right now, and I can't imagine to think who else it may be outside of our top 2 teams right now.
I was kind of curious. Does it count for both? Is that both of them, or is it just individual?
It's combined.
It's
yeah.
combined.
Okay, so they're sitting at 15. Okay, I'll say. I was like, okay, if they're sitting, if he's sitting at 15 alone, like he's tearing it up.
I don't think it's Technoblade, because I just saw him get a kill in the, rather get an elimination in the kill feed, and the team kills did not go up, so it may actually be maybe Needle and Morgan, possibly?
It could be. I mean, I'm seeing Morgan like
No, it's not.
constantly tear it up.
I don't think it's them either. I'm seeing like a bunch of kills in the kill feed pop up, and nothing's kind of being updated, but regardless, though, okay, I'm sorry. I think we actually got a few things mixed
That's
up.
what I'm saying. Kills, so that was
Right.
individual.
I was
so
going to say, right.
XQC was what, at like 14, 15 individual kills from himself, and then team kills just below. And interesting stuff as we hop on to our next player. And unfortunately, Phil's taking a lot of damage. Like, I don't think, who is it? Techno!
Who else?
Look at that, look at him biting the lip. He's like, yep.
What happens? Legitimately, what happens? I think they're calling out saying, how is he this good? Like, how is it really that possibility? And a wonderful Ender Pearl will put him right in the prime position for a few frags, and looks if he will manage to escape for now. Another Gapple consumed, and maybe even another Elim about to be found, as well as Bad Boy Halo trying to take down, and it will be an Elim his way. Now over toward Captain Sparkles, as you notice, right? The comm communication for him and good old Bajan Canadian, Mr. Minecraft. And they're actually going to be double teaming right now, which I like this call, right? I mean, that for me would be, I think, a really good strategy, is to try to join alongside your teammate, call out where you're at, and then try and get those team fires in, because if not, it is a matter of trades and constantly losing eliminations, of which, you know, it's just a matter of who gets the last swipe, who gets the last click.
Who won? Techno and Dan!
Wait, take a look at it right here. So Moxie has 27. How many did Techno get? Techno got 35 eliminations by himself!
That's a lot of elims. You said 35?
By himself!
I know at the very beginning he was sitting at like 14. And that's why it made sense what you said, like, oh, is that team kills? Because I was looking at it too. I'm like, there's no way he has 14 by himself. Tyler won was probably like 10 of them. Like, at the very beginning, we were seeing him. But then again,
man.
Tyler did kill him once. I will say that. He did
did.
get one of them. But
That is so
35.
impressive. Like, literally. There were some play. Like, I think at every perspective that we saw, nobody was close to 35 by themselves.
No,
Like,
Moxie had the next highest at 27.
And then I know XQC was at least at like 18 or
Oh,
something.
they were
like that.
definitely above 45. They were probably just an
Probably
Elim or
second
two away.
place.
Yeah, oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Which is, I mean, that's great for them. I mean, they're going to move up the leaderboard. But the fact that Techno, again, wins that off of winning the last Hunger Game and winning the first Hunger Game, as we pull up the scoreboard, I'm a little bit worried to see it, because the lead that they might have in 861 to 717, they were
Starting to
only
pull away a
40
little
points ahead of them in the last time we saw the scoreboard. But now, well over 100.
and the one benefit for them is that the team that got second place is a team that is in seventh. They're cool with that, right? As many teams want to try to make these comebacks, they welcome it, because it's only going to make second, third, fourth, their lives that much easier. But we come from what that last game now into this one, a few back-to-back victories for Technoblade and Dan TDM, as now they are in the driver's seat. They have the advantage, and they have a decent game. They start to slow down a little bit. They can kind of afford to have one slow game. I will say that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because you have to be careful about your life right now. But if they continue to turn up the way that they are moving forward throughout these Hunger Games and continuing to look as dominant as they are, I don't think that anyone can stop them.
What do you think?
I think one more win and then one more pretty decent game. Just middle of the pack. If they get one more win and then they don't have total disaster strike at the start, we've seen this, guys. We know how the scores here tend to go. You can score a lot, but as long as the opponent isn't making the critical mistakes, you can't make up too much ground on them.
And Technoblade too, like we've always talked about him, and he's always kind of a better player in the end game as well. Like we talk about, like, oh my gosh, you know, game 7, 8, 9, especially when it comes down to the Hunger Games, he only improves kind of toward the bitter end of things. And I know most of the time it's kind of him figuring out the score situations, and so he wants to play more aggressive. But whenever he realizes where the score is at, I feel like he only improves as a player. So kind of knowing the knowledge, or kind of getting the knowledge that he has right now, it may allow him to play not necessarily as passively, but to not engage on things that don't necessarily matter. So I think for them, they're only going to play more smart than they have previous, which I think is going to be great. Kind of continuing on in their play, it's going to be difficult, man. It really is. It's not going to be a simple task to take down those two, but the one roster who has to be on our line sites right now, Needle and Morgan, they stay alive. If they break top 5, they're still hanging on. If they drop early, they lose a squad mate, that is where things can start to be ruined.
Yeah. Definitely so. I'm just worried about Captain Sparkles, the Beijing Canadian. I mean, granted, they're in third again. They're at 550 points at third, but that puts them nearly actually, it puts them a little over 300 points down from first.
Yeah.
And this is something that we ran into, right, week 1 and 2 when it was strictly Hunger Games. We saw massive point gaps, like, towards the top. And that's why the mini games were awesome, right, because it kept everything relatively close. But it just comes to show, like, you really have to slay out, and you have to play your life accordingly. It's something, Landon, you were talking about a little bit earlier, right? Playing your life is very critical.
Oh, yeah.
And MC Morgan now, island of his own. Luckily, we'll find a stone stored, at least a couple of potions and a little bit of other items.
Yeah, that's almost a full kit from that. That's a great chest, man.
I think he threw a sword. It was like, hey, Needle, you want that sword? Nah, it's just wood. Who cares? Not important. Not what we need at all. As kind of the top 2 teams, right, we switch their perspectives. It's all about rushing. It's all about visiting as many chests as you can. And I think right now, Technoblade, right, he has no weapon, which this is the perfect opportunity if a team were to spot him out to go for him. But you notice, right, this chest, is it going to grant anything of interest? A few little bits of enchanting, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out a little bit later, as it is going to be, I think it's XQC entering in toward the casino. Okay, I like this.
My man, casino's a good place to go.
I mean, hey, bet your money, you could, you know, find something nice.
Ooh, already a little engagement. This is the slowest engagement I've seen. I was like, I'm like, what's going on here? I know we're in water, granted, but this man.
There we go.
Okay, they're big muscle man. There's not a lot he could do. I appreciate his outfit though, America. I mean, he was just Star Spangled Banner all over.
That's Captain America's suit. That's what that was.
Was it?
It was.
Okay.
I think he like dresses like that constantly, and he also does have his Twitter header is him cosplaying as Captain America, which is fantastic.
And his name is Big Muscle Man too.
100%. You got to rep it. By the way, Vicstar just took down TVNR Frags. Old teammates actually were kind of champions in their history, so that does throw another thing in the mix, like we talked about kind of coming into today. You know, Landon along with Vicstar, or rather Landon along with Preston, a talented duo, but they don't actually get a whole lot done there. And this is the roster. The questions are starting to come about. Can they start to make a little bit of a comeback? Can they force somewhat of a dent in the advantage that Technoblade and DanTDM have right now? As there instantly is a response from Techno saying, all right, you can find some elims, but we're not about to get too far away either. And there we go. Needle takes down Cupquake. As back and forth, they exchange blows.
That's a matter of, like, are we going to see the top 5 get involved once again, you know? Like, especially to the extent of the last game. This feels it takes out Lauren. But things could get interesting, especially as we get deeper into the game. But another water world, right? Kind of you run into slower engagement, slower fights. I say that, but on the other end, another victim is going to be found from Technoblade and his partner, Dan. And I know Greek was just eliminated, too, a little bit earlier, so that definitely hurts to say the least. As Travs takes out XQC, Moxie now probably in a 1v1 against Travs. Or actually, Moxie nowhere to be found.
Travs is a monster. I wouldn't want to engage on that either. Speaking of engagement, Captain Sparkle's getting a nice elim there. There goes Tyler 1, and explosions behind. Techno like, I won't worry about it. I've got blood for the blood god. There's somebody in front. It's actually Dan. Probably not going to take that blood. But you want to talk about gatekeeping, literally standing on top of a gate and literally standing on top of a lighthouse. You got to love the way that these guys approach this game. It's so fun.
That's the way that I'd approach it, right? You just get that bird's eye point of view, and you just kind of rock it from there. By the way, Vikkstar already has an enchanted diamond sword, and we don't normally see this off the rip and kind of in the initial stages of a game. So finally, our questions coming in today was saying, hey, this is a roster who should be inside of top 3. I even mentioned it to you kind of at the start of the day, here 9. I was talking about, hey, if these guys don't play well, they could be in an awkward spot. And I thought that outside of top 3 for me would be disappointing. They're currently outside of that. And we'll see if they can start to make somewhat of a positive notion here. As I think, it was Technoblade who just lost Dan TDM.
Yeah.
So this could be their game, but you could argue it's a little bit too late.
It could be, though, but this is really big for Needle and MC Morgan plays because, again, if Techno goes down here, that's going to be big points. You can see that would still be well over 10 elims left. That's a lot of points left to be had there as Bad Boy Halo does go down. We see Tyler. But, if there was one person that you would want to be in a 1v2, it would be Technoblade. So
Sure.
We'll see how he opts to play this right now. Maybe playing some gatekeeping. As someone from the Mountain Jack sucks at life. It's a 1v2, yes, but you have to imagine Technoblade has the better gear, or at least something like that. He might not opt to engage here. You talked, Landon, earlier about playing smart. Say maybe some survival points, maybe even sneak into the top 3 and at least recoup some of this.
That was something you mentioned too, Nine, right? I mean, you talk in terms about Techno being or having such a commanding lead. If he could just decently place well, at least in this Hunger Game, and then maybe win another one, right, which is totally possible within a realm of possibility, they could easily win this tournament, right? So I think Techno at this point, playing his life, not getting aggressive like we're normally used to seeing, is definitely the smart play to make. But look at Vikkstar, though, coming through mid, and he's going to find some potential victims. Nice headshot onto one up ahead, and his teammate is going to be going in for the attack. Meanwhile, he stays behind, but he's actually taking a totally different route. Does he see someone else?
I think he might have been aware of a 3P, or maybe one player just started to kind of slip through their grasp. So I'm not 100% sure, but they're going to go and let them pretty much just go away. I guess they weren't interested in that engagement, as they're going to go and probably make a golden apple with the resources handed out. So interesting situation. I think TBNR Frax is typing in chat saying, hey, Vic, you better win this game. It is all on you. Someone needs to take down the top 2 rosters right now. Like we said, Technoblade without a squad mate, we know how talented he can be regardless. James Charles trying to give chase as Vic up close. The TNT damaging quite a few players and trying to get out of dodge. Never had time to make the golden apple. And what a moment it would be if he had that in this situation. A very valuable diamond enchanted sword will stay alive. And this time at the top of the water slide.
And that was a big engagement there. That was Vikkstar, who had the best gear, up against Needle. And you see Needle now has taken the title of best gear, so I don't think anybody went down in that engagement. Somehow, I'm not sure how Skeppy got out of there too, but this is the fight to watch. This could have big implications of the rest of the tournament. If Vikkstar and Skeppy get this right now, I'm not sure that we'll see a comeback. But Vikkstar is not healed up yet. I don't know about this running strategy. Maybe trying to get some fall damage or knock them into the water, and I don't think it's going to go their way.
Wow.
No! Both go down, and I believe that MC Morgan was on just 1.32 hearts right there.
Crazy.
That's huge implications, guys.
It is
100%.
massive. And I'm curious why MC Morgan and Neil backed off as long as they did. I mean, I couldn't imagine they were very weak because they were lighting Vikkstar up. He was just down to a heart and a health landed, but clearly coming back, obviously kitted up, feeling confident, they managed to make it work. And the fact that they continue to slay out is awesome. 9 teams remain. Vikkstar, Skeppy finished top 10. But I know Techno is still out there. I think Captain Sparkles is still out there. Beijing Canadian might be as well. And the zone is moving through, and another engagement happening on the edge of that. And that's going to be Moxie. And I believe XQC was eliminated earlier on. So now Moxie basically alone to fend off a couple of different players.
Yeah, and he's trying to engage upon the barrier, which is not the greatest situation, right? Obviously getting cornered from a number of different places. But, hey, this barrier can sneak up on you sometimes, and it absolutely can take your life. And this is the awkward situation that James Charles is going to find himself in, right? Nothing really kind of toward his side. Thankfully, the zone will be just up ahead, but he's losing some hearts, and he is being engaged upon from the island, right? Does have that archer, and he could make something happen. A diamond enchanted axe. As once that one starts to get close, it could do some work. But who's on the other end? It is going to be, of course, MC Morgan and Needle. These guys with the bow are fantastic as they are just piling on the arrows, and this is just not looking good for James any longer. Maybe trying to give some diplomacy as you talk about here, 9, because this is the only way he's going to be able to survive. He's got the barrier on his back, and he's got some arrows in his heart. 10 hearts still left, but he's done. He's done for it. This is another elim in the column for Needle and Co.
Ooh, there it is. James Charles drops. Papa Platt as well was able to eliminate Moxie, so XQC Moxie are now out. We also lose James Charles and his duo. 7 teams remaining now. So continue to push out. Up close and personal, though, this is Techno, right? He was alone for a long time. We talked about, can he play his life appropriately? But for the first time, we do see Blood and Camping Rusher and Fit are coming on the attack.
What?
As Techno, though, with the Ender Pearl onto Bayesian. That's a huge elim, and he's not going to stop there. A second one just up ahead. Now Ender Pearl to get out, and he successfully does so. But is he going to be able to heal up? That is the main talking point, because for the time being, he's safe. But if he can't heal, he's in trouble.
That was unbelievable what we just saw from Technoblade. He pretty much is being engaged upon. He throws out the Ender Pearl and manages to catch a very weak Bajan Canadian. And surely he's got players just on his back right now. And yes, they're not stopping. And of course, it is going to be Needle. They finally take down the Titan, as they are looking to have a game to remember. But here we go. Morgan as well drops Captain Sparkles. First and third place gone, as this should be their game to win. A few players on the outskirts, and Needle, he's ready for the engagements. Diamond Swords or not, this is their matchup, and this is how they will get brought back in the scorecard, as that is going to be a few more. 2 players remain. Where are they hiding? And it looks as if it will be the Camping Rusher living up toward his title. And Morgan, he spots him, trying desperately to throw out a few of these Ender Pearls, but that was the last one he has, and he's going to be found as well, guys. This is just scary, what we're seeing right now from these two.
It is, right? And if you look at it, right, second place, Needle, MC Morgan, before going into this Hunger Game, they were sitting at 717 points. They were just shy of 200 below Techno and Dan. But the fact that they dominate this game as well as they did, if Wilbur, though, might put up a nice, sizable fight, he's doing just that. But you can imagine, there it is, finally, solidified. MC Morgan Needle, they take this
well-deserved
in a dominant fashion. The fact Techno was eliminated early on. Vic Star as well, Captain Sparkles Bayesian Canadian, eliminated early on. There's no reason Needle and MC Morgan don't take first. And if not, they don't take first, they're going to be very close to Techno and Dan. But the fact that they were able to slay out as much as they did,
and
that's
this
a huge
play,
amount of points.
This is what defined it all. This is what kind of did it. If they don't stay alive there, the entire game is void. And that was the thing that I think it was 9 you were bringing up, right? If they fall, that could be the tournament. That realistically could be it. And so the fact that they stay alive in that situation gives a perfect leeway for them to maybe overtake the lead, if not be just underneath Technoblade & Co.
It's a huge, huge deal there. And again, this was the pick that we saw right there. Techno knowing exactly how much his Enchanted Diamond Sword was going to be able to do. I don't know too many players who could have made that work right there, but you have to appreciate the efficiency that Needle and Morgan have been operating with this entire time. We will, of course, have the scores up for you. We know for a fact, regardless of who is in first place, it is going to be very, very close. And how many weeks in a row are we going to come down to the very end? You know, I guess this is what we want, right? This is what
100%.
makes for great content, great television here. It's going to be very, very close here, I know. And as you take a look right there, 14 points separating Techno and Dan TDM from Needle and MC Morgan Plays. You got to appreciate Captain Sparkles and Bajan fighting for third place. But, guys, this is a 2-horse race. Almost 400 points separating the top 2.
And it makes sense, right? Techno, Dan TDM, they won the first Hunger Games. Needle, MC Morgan Plays win the second. The third, Techno, Dan TDM take it. The fourth, Needle, MC Morgan take it, right? They have literally been going back and forth, and we're about to get into our last 3 games, Landon.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal one. 196 points in that last game for Needle and MC Morgan. A wonderful played game, as we've been calling it out. It is the top 2 teams battling for the #1 position, as we will see our final 3 games just at the end of this quick commercial break.
It seems like I am quite quenched for thirst. Time for sponsor! G Fuel sponsor! You may have seen me sip on these bad boys for quite a while. And you may be wondering, what is he actually drinking there? Is that part of some conspiracy? No, it's not, okay? This is genuinely great sponsor. G Fuel, everybody. There's so many delicious flavors. Wow, epic. Golden apple pear, beautiful. Rainbow sherbet, kiwi strawberry. Try it out. See if you like it.
Everything is new to me, sleepless in a distant dream, slowing up the speed of time. Don't let me crash down tonight. I just wanna feel what I feel, what I feel, when it's just you and me. I'm falling on my knees just to see if I can still bleed. 'Cause with you I'm superhuman. Hope it's not a grand delusion. So keep me in this state of mind. Tell me that it's real life. 'Cause with you I'm superhuman, superhuman.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, week number 8, as we are live here from the UMG studio, diving in toward Wyvern for game number 7. As we have got a very intense game going on right now. It has pretty much been from the start a 2-team race. Techno and Dan TDM have been leading the way. However, we have seen a new addition come in through this week. Needle and Morgan have looked like one of the best rosters in Minecraft Monday history. They've been playing super well. They've been pretty much dominating everybody in their path, and we'll have to see how they play off the rip as they currently hold on to what is a narrow, almost in terms of the second place position, hold on to a narrow second place, trying to get in toward that first place position, but we'll see what can start to happen. As like I said, we enter in toward Wyvern. It's going to be a fantastic one, and we'll see what starts the engagements.
Morgan already on to Tyler, at least initially. And something to think about, right? And we kind of had a last-minute addition, and it was, in fact, Needle and MC Morgan plays. They kind of were added a little bit later. We didn't get to know too much about them. So when we asked, we kind of discussed it. Who are these guys? Well, it's one of the fan teams from the public server. They got involved. They're playing with the guys that they love to watch, And not only are they playing alongside them,
so
they're also
legit what they just did, by the
winning.
way.
What did they do?
They literally handed off swords in stride as they walked through the hallway. It's like they both tossed off something.
It's a
caught
baton.
it, and they moved on.
They're running a relay, and it's a baton.
It was just amazing while you were like giving them props. It's just like, yeah, let's just go and like as if we planned
Casually,
it.
they're watching
Yeah.
the stream like, hey, time to show off. We're on shit. But isn't that awesome, though, right? They're fans on the public server, and they come through, and now they're playing against some of the best, and they are literally
And contesting
one of the best teams
Technoblade.
by what, mere points?
Yeah.
Like 10 points, right? So the fact is, if they come through as a fan team and they win this whole thing, it's going to be amazing. And same thing with like Fire Breath Men and Player, right? Whenever they came through, we're like, who are these guys? Right? One of the top donators onto the server, and then Fire Breath Man comes through, he plays, and he dominates the event. I believe finishing off third. Amazing stuff. And Muscle Man, I'm big Muscle Man, Captain America. What's going on, my guy?
I mean, 9.2 hearts though. That's that's half the health away
Against
from
Needle?
Needle. That's more than I would do. I will say that, but. We see right here at the top, watching over this canyon. This is now officially the Technoblade and Dan TDM cannon here. They're still trying to get kitted up. I don't know if you guys noticed there. The reasons they were tossing off those swords is because they both got iron swords off the rip. And by they, I'm of course referring to our fan team, the way that they've been moving around. They are already geared up and ready to start moving in to the end game. And guys, this is already looking very, very dangerous. Now every elim starts to come into effect. Somebody's going to have to get involved to stop this train.
Yeah, someone's got to do it, right? And I think right now it's Captain Sparkles and Bajan who are in third place. So this is the annoying thing for them is a matter of, hey, we have to put on a show, right? We have to hopefully allow for the top two teams to drop because if not, it's going to be an unfortunate situation. A 7th time.
Don't
Third
say it.
place
Don't
finish.
say it. No, it can't happen again.
I'm not saying
It's
it
a
will.
fact.
I'd almost.
It's a fact.
It's looking like it. Like they're so farly progressed from the team who's currently in 4th place as well.
Because they're sitting at what, 500? Everybody else is sitting at like 90. Yeah, they're at 598. I mean, and second place is 913.
Yeah,
that's
it's nearly double.
At least 300.
Yeah, it's getting unfortunate for them. But like I said, they can have a phenomenal game, start to turn up. Maybe they could contest. The only problem is, like we talked about, it has been consistency. All 4 players have had their moments, and we kind of had our questions coming into today, right? Dan TDM, he and Think Noodles haven't had the greatest of placements, especially when it came down to mini games, but them together, they've looked great. Dan has been put in these situations where he has to clutch up. He needs to find a big elimination for the team, and he's done so. So I think all 4 players that are kind of in this top 2 conversation are carrying their weight. It's by no means a super, heavily contested one person kind of leading the way, but it's going to be interesting kind of as the game progresses. And kind of on the topic of consistency, we have got 3 teams all around this area, one of them being Needle & Co.
It is, but I know that Vicstar is there as well, and you have to imagine they're right behind here, would love nothing more than to get a little revenge. Look at the chase, and I think there's another team. No, it is that team still. This is very, very dangerous. They have the high ground. They have the high ground.
Dan died to a fall.
Oh, that's big. That means Techno's by himself again. And Jerome takes out Techno.
What?
How did this occur?
Gosh. I can only think Dan died to a fall. Maybe Techno fell as well, but still lived, but dropped in hearts.
Gosh. And look at, of course, who is succeeding more than ever.
Yeah.
This is going to put them in first place,
100%.
no question.
100%.
I think they already might be in first place right now.
They are. I think
100%.
there was only one elim that Techno was able to get over the course. So I think
they've
that
got
the
like 3 or
fall.
4.
Yeah, I think the fall had to have been fall damage when they got engaged upon.
The pig and the chicken.
It is.
Which
Techno.
one came first? Is that how that goes?
I think
Something
it
like
is,
that.
but
it's something similar.
we do see Bajan Canadian and Captain Sparkles. They have the chance to play ultimate spoiler right now. Imagine if both of our top 2 teams went out reasonably early, although you could certainly argue the damage has already been done by Needle and Morgan. But these have big implications. If they win this once again, it's going to take more or less a miracle right now for Techno and Dan to somehow tie this.
I agree.
Wow.
I mean, it's
crazy.
It's going to be tough. And you mentioned it, go back to your initial discussion, Nine, where you were, oh my gosh, stop it, please. MC Morgan, they're just trying to run away. Wilbur, what did he do to you? Wilbur, that's tough, man. Getting mowed down by not only Needle, but also MC Morgan. But going back to the original point, you talked about it, Nine, right? Techno, Dan, they needed to have just a subpar game and then come through and win. I wouldn't even call that a subpar game. And it's no fault of their own, right? They get taken out, but they got taken out. I think there were still 12 teams left. They got taken out like in 12th or 13th place.
Their subpar game would have been the last game.
Yeah.
Now, right now, I think that the destiny is all in the hands of Needle and Morgan. If they slay out and win right this, even if Techno wins this next game, they will need for Needle and Morgan to have just as sloppy a game as they just had. And I'm not seeing that. I'm going to be honest. I'm not seeing that. To say nothing for Bingo
I mean,
either.
they're on pace to do the same thing they did last match.
Yep.
Like, if not even better. And they got 198 points in their last Hunger Games.
The man who might be able to play spoiler and control the destiny right there, Skeppy, returning champion, a 2-time champion. I know a thing or two about winning here. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can make life difficult for our opponents here. And it does look like they have found Jerome and Filza here. This would be a big, big boost for their gear. If they were able to get this Vicstar a little low on health, they do go for the pincer right there. They're going to get the opportunity to make this work. And it is going to be an Ender Pearl out. I don't know if that chase is going to be one you want to take, Skeppy. That's going to be hard to get up there without an Ender Pearl. But we'll see exactly how this ends up going. And there's your drop, if you've ever wondered what a drop looks like in Minecraft. Very pleasant.
I like it.
It's
very
nice. It is nice. Nice casual, nothing crazy about it. You know what? Just get in your chest and you move on. But, oh, God, here we go. Here we go for everybody else. Enchanting already inside of middle. And you've got a few players actually with arrows. You're going to try to knock them off of that tree, and they will start to retreat. So not a bad call by any means, but still to no avail. I think we saw at least 2 teams at that moment say, okay, this could be a chance. This could be a moment where we can catch these guys off guard, maybe do a little bit of heart damage, but to no extent, it's a matter of them showing their skills, flexing their weight around, and you see no one wants to pretty much have a hand in it, and for good reason.
It's good for good reason, but just imagine here, if they get taken out and don't get a team score bonus, that's maybe, what, 80 points maybe that they might have 70 points on Techno's team? And that's not much. That is just winning one Hunger Games round. So, guys, I always say this, that the tournament might rely on this right here. Trav's going down. That's big. That's one of the few players you would think could take them in solo combat, but Bajan and Sparkle's going to use the opportunity to get to the enchanting table that they need to. And they will have center control. If there's one thing you can say right now, they will be the ones that will be able to do that. They're going to have to move quick, though, and I think that Sparkle's just wisened up to it.
This is going to be a big engagement. The fact that you have not only second place now against third place, arguably Needles and Morgan now in first, but Beijing Canadian easily gets eliminated. Captain Sparkles too, as Needle MC Morgan continue to dominate this lobby. Skeppy forced to back off. Vic as well, as they get them very low. And I got to say, Needle MC Morgan, they look in total control. Arrows fired out. Vic at 1. Ender Pearl to finish. And now 1 left up. That's going to be Skeppy running away for the time being. And Skeppy does get away. Little heart regen for the time being, but that zone, it's closing in. And there's not much further he can run.
Guys, those were the 2 teams who we said, oh, they could, make something happen. They could possibly take down Needle and MC Morgan if given the right advantage. They both engaged at the same time and still got destroyed.
I don't know if the armor that these guys are wearing just does not break ever. That was an enchanted diamond sword. Maybe they were just missing there. I don't understand it. These guys,
both teams,
it's like iron.
We were like, okay, if they can get a sneak attack. They both engaged at the same time, for God's sake. Needle, Morgan, and now about to take down bad boy Halo. And there we go. There is one that's going to fall, takes a little bit of damage, and tossing out one of his swords for a diamond enchanted one, as he'll go ahead and just thread the needle on that final player. And Morgan,
come
low
on, Preston,
HP.
get
Preston
one.
Can't do it. A valiant attempt, some explosives toward the back end, but that is not what these 2 players need to be doing. They need to try to single out this duo. They need to work together, because if not, this is going to be another dub.
Definitely is going to be, and I don't think there's anything stopping them back against the zone. Filza drops 2. Filza, player that eliminated Techno a little bit earlier alongside Dan. Now a dino engagement happening and easily comes through. Needles, MC Morgan takes the win, slays out half the lobby. They were in second by just a mere 10 or so points behind that of Techno and Dan. No reason why they're not in first by a commanding lead, given the fact that Techno and Dan were eliminated in like 12th, 13th place. Needle MC Morgan having a dominant performance this week. From fans now to legends, at least in this server, at least this week alone. Nothing can stop them, it seems. Now moving into bingo, things could get interesting, but man, is there anything that can stop the men, of course, of Nito and MC Morgan? They won the last Hunger Games now, back-to-back, winning the second.
And the way that they're winning these is the big thing, right? Because you can win a Hunger Games and score 110, 120 points. This is going to be well over 150, maybe even 200 points. This is going to take a gargantuan, miraculous effort. And again, they have their destiny in their hands right now. Everything that we were talking about, they could have a subpar of subpar games and still end up being A-okay here. The way, the efficiency, the way that they just mowed through teams. I'm not sure until Preston engaged on them, I'm not sure any of them even got below half health. I don't understand how efficient this is, and I don't understand how you're supposed to beat this.
These guys, I tell you what, they are incredible. They had two teams engage upon them. They made it look simple. Two rosters who we thought could take them down. They made it look easy. They made it look simple. We'll go and take a look at that scoreboard. We know who's going to be sitting at the top, and 1,169 score. Needle and Morgan take a little bit of a breather, for God's sake. These guys put on one heck of a show. Amazing. Now, I want to let you guys know how many points they had in that last Hunger Games. 256 points in one Hunger Games.
It's insane.
256.
What's the highest we've seen? 250?
It's in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
This is, if this isn't the highest scoring, it is certainly in the top two.
Insane.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. Respect.
Because I think they had, what, 9? It was 913 they had, right? I think on the prior scoreboard coming into this one. So
yeah, I could totally take a look at it. Yeah, it was around there. It was around there.
Incredible.
And even more demoralizing, I think that was only 14 or so points that Techno and Dan got, and that's
actually, yeah, because they were at 927.
That may have just
now they sit at 941. And you're right, they were at 913.
So
Needles,
yeah,
Needles
that's 256 points to, what was it, 14?
That's pretty that's a get ratioed is the phrase that is used there, but we now have bingo, guys. We've been waiting for this forever, teabagging a rabbit to get it started.
It's kind of what you'd expect, maybe from Tyler 1. And I think they're trying to figure out how bingo works.
I wanted to see this so badly. Greg, we don't know what the...
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to follow somebody around and do what they're doing.
We talked about this.
We wanted
Follow somebody around, do what they're doing. Exactly what he needed to do.
I don't know what any of this
What are we
shit
crafting?
Okay, so we actually get a chance to look at a few of these things. I think I saw
Missing Flower.
XQC right now.
So right, I'm following XQC. Oh my God, this is great. No, this is so smart though. The idea
100%.
of I'll at least see what other people are doing to try to go from there.
Tyler 1 just trying to casually mend into to everybody else, try to camo himself.
This is
everything.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love this idea. If you can't beat him, join him. This is literally that.
How much they'll fucking make these items? I don't understand how shit works.
We have to switch off. To,
At least he's honest.
More of a PG point of view, right, Mr. Captain Sparkles?
Got it. I see it. I see it.
I like that.
I got sight. I got vision. We good.
All right.
And you can just tell like a totally more calm feeling in terms
before.
of like the way that you kind of even start off this game, maybe even giving a few calls in terms of, hey, I'll do these items, you do those, and on the other end, Tyler 1 just, I'm just going to follow somebody. And I think it was Greek God who was like, yep, I'm on somebody, I'm on XQC, I'm going to follow him, try to take any of the items, learn, because otherwise we're going to be lost. And I think Twitch chat may be their only guidance, which could be a good or bad thing, depending on how it works.
Greek knows a little bit. You can hope, but it's like if first you have to stop Tyler 1 from screaming, and Greek has to calm down. Like, Tyler, all right, what do we have to get here? You know, like, let's think this through.
Technoblade is just destroying.
He said, I'm totally
And then he gave it back. And if you ever want to know, here we have Technoblade's perspective right here. People always wonder how much of a try-hard Technoblade is.
And he put all this stuff
So
in, and I
even
broke
going
the
back
chest
to
into
what was the build
materials.
one that we had? Was it called just Builder? Straight up?
Yeah, build battle.
Build battle, right? Techno was going through the walls and destroying other people's builds.
He very much intended to grief the most popular person he could find.
And see, this thing, I think it's fair. Given the history Techno has, right, whenever it comes to people like trying to nerf them and everything, I think Techno does. He giveth and he taketh away.
I think that Captain Sparkles, he was like waiting for an apology. And what does Technoblade say? I could have taken this. You're welcome. Like,
I could have totally
go.
used it.
Like, that was the one response.
You owe me. I'm doing you a favor by not keeping this thing I stole from you.
Oh, man. That's hilarious,
Oh,
man.
Philza.
It's hilarious.
Because of how awesome I just
Wait,
yeah.
a sunflower is one of the items?
I-
How
it-
pleasant.
Yeah.
How pleasant is that? That is one item, realistically. XQC, Greek God X. They could do it. 100%. They can find that.
Check it over.
Also, mushroom stew. Am I asking too much? Maybe a little
Well,
bit. Wait, you have to find an apple? Okay, this.
Tyler was getting some
They
mushrooms
could
a little
get
bit
at
earlier.
least 2 items if they hit enough things. Like if they just roam around the map and hit a few things, like a few trees, right? Kind of gets those saplings along with the apples that will come from it, along with the flowers. They'll be okay.
I did notice that Tyler did have some mushrooms a little bit earlier. Google is your friend at this point, right? If you don't know how to
Yeah.
play, you don't know what to build and how to build, or how to make items or where to find it, go ahead and Google it.
Team Fit and the Camping Rush are already at 5 out of 9. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the scoring system, only the top handful of teams do get the big points here. You
think
do get
top
points.
5, right?
Top 5. You do get points for every single item that you collect. So when we say earlier, this is the non-engagement mode. Techno has already proven that we don't know what we're talking about clearly, but this is the mode where you're not going to lose too much ground provided you take care of business. Maybe 20 points, 30 points, at most 70 or so. But we've seen when 265, a little bit bigger than 70.
Flower pots, one item too.
A little too late there, Paleo.
Okay, a little trash talk going through.
So these items really not like the most difficult, which is great to see. And obviously for Technoblade and TNT, they've already collected 3 items, which is great to see. A lot of teams maybe by this point are looking at the basic items, already getting 3 out of those. So that could be the target for sure. As it looks as if Technoblade giving a few calls, maybe even trying to separate from his teammate. And pretty much just doing the basics, just kind of looking for some run-of-the-mill items and not trying to get too far away so that no one will yoink any of his things. So got to be careful of that. And I think Skeppy and Co. are up to 5 out of 9 items. So we're kind of talking about the Camping Rusher. Now they've got a little bit of some competition.
This is Fit's perspective right here. So he's saying we're almost at 6 out of 9 items. Vicstar and Skeppy also at 6 out of 9 items. So these guys move quick. Again, it's fun. It is a non-engagement mode, but it's fun to see that all of that knowledge you've built up over what Minecraft is and how to build these things and how to go about it efficiently does pay off eventually.
NATO's MC Morgan, they're only at 2. They're only at 2, right? So they haven't found that much. Well, I say that now they just got mushrooms too, so that puts them at 3.
Oh, I see mushrooms. Okay, I see a mushroom.
But now talking about mushrooms, that's what they need to get. And I know we just got an updated list as to what we need to find. And as we look through the items, I'm seeing an apple. We already saw the sunflower. I think flint and steel. Mushroom soup. I believe a flower pot. And we have 3 other items.
One of those being an enchanting table, which is probably going to be one of the more difficult ones to accomplish, which is where we see XQC most likely trying to find a few of those. But like yellow stained glass, a few other things as well. And oh, diamonds! You love to see it. Love to see some diamonds. And I think Skeppy may be communicating, saying, hey, do you want to separate these, or how do we want to do this exactly? How is this going to work out? But that's a decent clump right there. I like that is
there we go.
What?
Oh, the gravel falls, but he's still going to get it there. That's pretty funny there.
that's
And now
nice.
Jerome, give me one good reason why I shouldn't block you off right now or pour a little lava on you there.
No, that would be terrible.
That would be terrible, but you heard Jerome earlier in some of the calls saying, I got the emerald before him. So I think Jerome and Skeppy have been having a little battle down here for quite some time. But 2 very, very fun personalities to be sharing that with.
I mean, unless...
Huh.
You could say you'll give him the enchant table after you've made it if he gives you the...
I
don't think he'll trust me after I threw the iron in.
I love what they're calling out right now in terms of trading items going back and forth, and I think Skeppy may have taken a little bit of a dip there, so rather unfortunate. But Vicstar says, give Skep that 1 diamond. We'll share our enchanting table with you. Okay, interesting.
Or completion. Oh man, I don't know about this. This is a team made up of 2 former champions. Do you think they need the help, Jerome? Do you think they need the help?
Hey, little help goes a long way.
It's true.
I'm aware. I'm saying I don't know that they need it to complete this round. How about the opposite? Skeppy stole iron of mine and threw it in lava. His trust is gone. It was misclick.
It wasn't a
Okay.
misclick.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
We know better than that.
Enchant table and emeralds.
Enchant table.
wow.
Emeralds. Okay.
Extra meals! Extra meals!
Oh.
Yeah. Get sunflowers. Get sunflowers.
By the way, so XQC, where are they sitting at? XQC and Moxie.
Well, they're at 5 out of 9 right
well, they're
now.
at 5 out of 9 on the leaderboard. They're at number 7. So
right,
464.
I couldn't get it.
So they can imagine if you get 5th place. I tell you, man, XQC has a ton of passion. Moxie as well. And the fact that they continue to come back week after week, they get better and better, it seems. This week being a little bit more different just with Hunger Games, but
Right, and they've always done consistently well on
they
this
have.
mode too. And you know, you could talk about the communication, but nothing slips by these guys, right?
Yeah.
If something has been found, they will make sure that the other knows that they can play around it the most efficiently. And I think we are digging straight down right now. They've realized they've left something back underground. They're going for it. And with a diamond pickaxe, you can feel free to do it. And he's found himself a little shaft here.
I was going to say, this can start to get a little repetitive. I'm not sure like, if they were looking for something in particular, or if they're going back to reference something. You can easily get lost, as I have many, many times previously. It could do, or rather could take some searching and, okay, finding a torch. So that could be someone. Oh,
he found it.
He found the emerald. Wow.
how lucky is that?
That's fantastic. So they're going to be, what, 6 out of 9 items. They're sitting very, very well. I think the one thing they really had to work on was going to be that enchanting table. So not the worst spot by any means. And a team that kind of sits around their same point of view, 5 out of 9 items, happens to be James Charles & Co. So a lot of teams know, okay, so 7 out of 9. Jerome and Phil's a team in our Franks, Landon MC. So there are teams that are kind of above that margin. But I think this is going to be kind of collectively at the end, just everyone looking for one particular item. Kind of, 3, 4 teams kind of rounding it out probably all at the same time based on how close this game has been at the start.
Well, it's true, right? We have those other 2 teams that were working on diplomacy themselves saying, hey, I have this item. I'll give you that for completion. Tyler and Greek have found 3 out of 9. Okay. I like it. Huh? What happened?
He found the apple. He was waiting for the apple the whole time, I think. I don't know if he was hitting, trees for an incredibly long time, but that was, some frustration. That was, finally, thank the Lord, I finally found a gosh darn apple. Oh, this is intense, Vic, right here. He is just dialed in. As we immediately went toward his perspective, and normally I look at his YouTube videos, he's always super kind of live, animated, hey, we're getting ready for this video. It's gonna be an exciting one. This is just straight up, getting the head down a little bit, focusing on the monitor, and I wanted to walk away with this game because they are in one of the best positions, 7 out of 9 items,
All we need is 4 obsidian, 2 diamonds.
and they're calling out, ready for the enchanting table. It seems.
And look, they're in 4th place, right? 622 points. It's a long gap from 4th to 1st, but this is a start. And them finishing 1st could, in fact, be hugely. Are they? Okay, interesting. I think they were listening to maybe potentially.
I believe they might be because you see right here, there are a couple of teams that are really far. I like that, maybe getting some info on your enemy. 8 out of 9 right now are Jerome and Filza. This is their strongest mode. They are always one of the top 5 teams. They might get first right here. You see right here. Oh, they're still trying it. Jerome's not going to crack here. Come on, you know. He is not the type to be fooled twice by this, and so
pretty much good to go.
Pretty much good to go. You hear the call out right there.
We can, I need paper as well, and leather. Well, I can use rabbit hide, I think. Okay, hold up. Do you have any dirt on you, by the way?
I find this interesting, right? Because they're just missing the one crucial item, which is trying to make. I think it's the books is what they're really trying to accomplish right now, and of course you do need the paper in order to accomplish that. So they've got the leather necessary, it seems, but maybe just missing on one crucial item, and we'll decide to go and get back to spawn, as he will be in search for some sugarcane. As we'll switch back over now to a few different players, one of them being Skeppy, right? This team, 8 out of 9 items, and you see the intensity, how fast the mining is going, looking for what may be, I'm just going to go and throw it there, it may be either an emerald or an enchanting table. That kind of seems to be the bane, and I'm based off where he's at right now, I'm not sure what level he's at in terms of just overall blocks, but since he's not trying to go in a shaft, he may be just straight up looking for an emerald.
That may be, and I believe, speaking of emeralds, our top team here, Morgan and Needle, are at 8 out of 9 as well. They found the emerald they needed. So, guys, I think that's 4 teams that are there, but now down at the Obsidian. Preston right now trying to get this here. You know that they are so close to getting this last part here. Guys, these first points, you have to imagine that all 4 of these teams are going to finish very similarly. So that means that there's probably only 1 spot left available once these teams get done.
Definitely so, right? I mean, you got to be thinking it's once, you know, the first person kind of completes it, then it's just going to follow suit one after another. By the way, just want to shout out the Diglett that he had on his mic there. Diglett from Pokemon. It kind of makes sense. Pokemon, Minecraft, Diglett, they're digging. Hey.
Tyler One and Greek God, by the way, not trying to get off the Pokemon talk. They have 5 out of 9 items.
I think they're tied with Techno right now.
I'm impressed.
I'm curious.
I'm impressed.
Did they get those items because Tyler was following people?
Does it matter?
No, it
it's
does
5
matter.
out of 9 items.
I'm just curious.
It's 5 out of 9 items, Taylor.
I get it, Landon.
Let us
I'm
have
happy.
this moment.
Oh, no, please. Please have the moment. I'm happy. I love the fact Tyler and Greek are here.
I'm loving it.
I'm just curious how they're getting the items.
It's true. You know, maybe you could watch that one back and see
the
man who started this round by saying, I don't know how to do this. And yet, still against the odds, getting 5 out of 9.
Imagine if they like found everything they needed and just happened to like get it all. Wait.
Sparkles and Bajan, enchantment table, checked off the list. I think that's the first enchantment table that we've seen. I don't know what their last item is, but you have to imagine it's easier than that.
It may be an emerald.
To shear a cow?
I'm not sure.
No, of course not.
I think someone said shear a cow, but that's a sheep.
It would have grown by now, guys.
You can't do that, unfortunately. Oh, XQC and Moxie.
I like that. Good
Wow.
stuff. Good stuff finishing. Easy collapse, baby. Moxie.
I love that he just comes through and just decides to let everybody know that they just walked away as one of the teams
Landon
to
says,
do it.
can we have your extra sugar? I'll donate 100 subs. I am sprinting to Landon if that's the case.
100%.
Have all of my sugar.
Oh, is he taking these right? Oh, this might be it. No, they're completed. Is he just not going to let them have this stuff? Is that what this is?
He looked like he threw some diamonds out for somebody.
Wait,
Oh,
who's that with him right now? Is that Moxie? Okay, so it is Moxie. For a second, I thought that might have been somebody else.
They might be doing this for a reason.
I hope so.
Well, they haven't set the
Okay, so
keyboard
they're
down.
Vicstar and Skeppy. They just completed theirs.
Just keep mining.
Huh.
So they say keep on mining. I'm curious what they're up to. I really have no idea. Yeah, swap over to Beijing Canadian and Captain Sparkles, right? One team who's just looking for that one item. We talked about, oh my gosh, they got to the enchanting table, and it was like a matter of, okay, is anyone going to be able to kind of greet them there, as they were one of the only teams who did it, and yet they've started to be overtaken.
Ooh, so many people at 8. And Vicstar and Scappy complete their bingo card. Second team to do so. Enchantment table is going to be thrown down.
Yeah, let's give it to him.
Oh my gosh, are they actually going to give Jerome? They just... I don't believe it.
Yep,
they
Jerome
did it.
completed their
Wow.
bingo.
Wow.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh.
They gave me the enchantment table.
Oh, wait, what? Oh!
I love the reaction of like, wait, we just completed our card. Awesome. That was fantastic. And just trying to get to spawn, he's just misclicking so much. And as they spawn there, just immediately lit up by some lava. Oh man, that's actually hilarious.
They
did
burned
that.
it. After they did it, they threw it into the...
Oh, wow. They're not going to let anybody else have it. That's crazy. That's crazy. So how many more teams do we have?
I think we need
two more teams.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So 3 teams done. Regardless of how they got there, they did. So
Bajan's saying, I want to see myself on that pedestal. They want the third. He wants the 3rd place. Apparently, the happiest person about it is going to be him. Trying to fight his way back there. Looks like diplomacy not going to work for him, but man, they are very close. Sounds like the communication is going well.
It's gonna happen.
Maybe you can punch it.
Going
Burning
for
the
the
enchantment table.
I don't see it though.
That's brutal.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
That's brutal. That could have helped so many teams.
Yeah, it could.
And then still, I'm kind of curious what Moxie's doing with the mining, Moxie and XQC, because they continue.
Yeah, I
to-
was curious. What
I
they
saw
were up to
somebody
as
say
well.
that's toxic, Moxie. But what are they doing? Are they just trying to? Tyler and Greek.
Someone's been where I am.
Let's
Yellow
go.
saying yes. They're at 6 out of 9.
Let's go. I'm hyped about this. This is fantastic.
I'd be
A
happy.
totally different reaction.
I think he's looking for one too.
Oh,
okay.
TBNR frags and Landon completed theirs. There's one slot left, and here we see Diplomacy, gentlemen. Diplomacy teaming with James Charles, or maybe
I don't think he. I don't
Following.
Think, yeah, I think following.
Maybe
is what-
unintentional teaming.
anyone got mushroom stew since Moxie burnt entire inventory.
Dude, hopefully, dude. Because
I wonder. Well,
I'm losing
I'm
my
trying to think of
goddamn
like
mind, I'll be
put
honest.
together why Moxie and XQC were doing that earlier, but regardless, though, we'll have to see what, or rather, who can be the final team. As it really kind of is Bajan Canadian and Co. who were in that one position, and were kind of in a spot where they looked, to be in a pretty good situation. I think they were the only team who was kind of in, or no? Okay, so Lauren and Co. They're also an 8 out of 9. So
Right.
I was going to say, I didn't realize there were that many teams that were kind of in this situation. I thought it was pretty much just Bajan and Captain Sparkles waiting for the final item.
And I believe with 8 out of 9 here, you see the diamond there. They have to be close right now. That was Obsidian as well. So I think right now it's a race to the enchantment table. And boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be nice if there was just an enchantment table floating around that everyone was passing about?
Does
But
someone have that?
uh,
Was that a thing at one point?
maybe at one point, and
Yeah,
then
I
just
think it's
burnt.
burnt. Maybe.
I didn't
Yeah.
Maybe
see it.
it's. Wait a minute. James Charles got the
Oh!
last one.
And Tyler one was just behind.
James, or rather, Tyler One was probably like trying to grab it, like, no, I couldn't get it just in time. A good effort, but what they finished off with like 5, 6
Six.
I
items?
believe 6. Yeah.
6 out of 9. That's
I'll
not bad.
take it.
That's not bad.
I will take it for a team, as Nine mentioned, who was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. We're just gonna follow everyone around
And
and,
Tyler
hopefully
was
figure it out.
smiling.
He was smiling, whether or not it was out of somewhat of an anger or a frustration for not being one of the first
Listen,
5.
It's
They were still up there, and you got to give them props for it.
you got to give him props, and it's a Tyler one smile, right?
was.
That's what you come for.
Absolutely. I'm actually curious to see how the scoreboard is changed up. I don't imagine things will be too dramatically changed because most of our top teams were kind of finishing off in that spot. But regardless, we'll take a look at it anyway. So, everyone, take your phones out, screenshot it, because this will be our scoreboard coming into what will be our final game, right? Game number 9. It will be Hunger Games played upon what I believe is going to be Spark Apocalypse, which sounds like
Wow.
a very interesting map to me. I'm stoked for that one, but look at the score differential, right? There's going to be a lot of work that Techno and Dan need to make up, but the way that they can do that is by singling them off
Yeah.
in
At the
the
very
beginning
start.
stages.
And they may as well. It's very unrealistic. They can drop any further than second place. So why not?
Yep.
I know that typically we talk about how important it is to
Yeah.
maybe sit and kind of play the middle game, but I agree with you there, Landon. Go for it.
Yeah, I think that has to be the play right now. I think that's kind of like your only moment, your only call to try and try to make happen. But I am curious, like in terms of the way that this game is going to be looking coming into this game number 9, which roster will in fact come out on top. Now I know we've seen it in past. Technoblade, what he can pull off, what he can accomplish. I'm actually going to ask you guys predictions. Who out of the top 2 teams is going to walk away with this one? Are we rooting for the Blood God to make a crazy comeback, or are we going to go with the consistent Needle and Morgan pick?
I'm going with Dark Horse. Needle MC Morgan plays. No reason why they don't take this in the end.
Why do you have
Sleeper
to?
team?
That's my sleeper team.
Okay.
Oh,
Right now declared.
I had to do it. Come on. No,
It's good.
seriously. No reason why they don't get. I mean, come on. They're up right now over 200 points over Techno and Dan TDM.
Yeah.
We've seen them slay out. They come through and they can slay maybe a couple and then they just play their lives. Even if they hide, right?
Yeah.
Even if they just come through and they just hide, like Nick 28T, Nepenthes, right? If
Yep.
they just come through and
That's
they
a
hide,
throwback.
yeah, it is, right? But I mean, they are the ultimate cloaksters. They love to hide out, and I think for them, that's all they need to do. But they're not going to do that. They're going to continue to slay out. But is there a chance, 9, Techno and Dan can take this?
Mathematically, the answer is yes, but I really don't think so. I do not see, in none of the games, have they looked weak, I would say. Even the worst game that they played, they were still out at 7th. They were still very, very good. And like you say, it would need to be an absolute disaster at the beginning for this to not go their way. And we'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on them right now. No loot right now is what they are saying, so we may have to relaunch this one unless it's intentionally supposed to be a punch him out, which, you know, I would be okay with, to be perfectly honest with you. Unarmed combat.
I think Techno would be okay with that one as well, especially if he can get his hands on Morgan and Co. just to make their lives a little bit more difficult. But, hey, man, I'm excited, right, because this is going to be a very intense, you know, final game. I know we're having some issues right now, which we'll obviously be figuring out, but I'm excited. Oh, wait, what? Technoblade gets handed a sword? I have no idea what just
Techno's
occurred.
down!
Are you kidding
What just
me?
happened?
Techno's gone. Sword in hand. It doesn't matter. Techno gets taken out right off the beginning. He had no armor.
Well, no one had anything. I'm so confused.
Well, I was saying, so I know the loot was pretty sparse at the very beginning. So
I think there was no loot at all.
I think what happened is they went for the fight there, and then right as the time went out, they opted to go after James Charles and Isaac there. And I don't know if Isaac hid the fact that he had a sword or what it was, but you saw he got 2 or 3 good hacks at Techno before Techno even realized what it was. And I don't know if Dan had a weapon at all, but you saw Dan go down as well, even though Isaac was pretty weak and so was James Charles. But, well, there's your answer, gentlemen. The victory lap will be taking place right now for our first place team. And we will see who can play spoiler and get a little revenge on what has been going up against them this entire tournament.
This is definitely getting interesting. Because MC Morgan, right, Nidos, they didn't even have any inventory themselves.
Yeah, they didn't. And, you know, I have to think that we were talking about Techno playing a little bit more aggressive. I think that's what they did. He got a sword. He immediately went after the first team that he saw. And then as soon as he had the chance to slash at him, he did. But that is the risk you run when you get aggressive right off the get-go. And I don't think they had enough loot to spread about both of them. And so it was really a 1v2 in that situation. And there you see Isaac, the one who cut short the Blood God's life. Not many people can say that.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think, I mean, coming into this game, too, it was a 228-point advantage, which, well, we've seen, I think, was 256 be eclipsed by Needle and Morgan. So, I mean, realistically, I mean, we played totally honest. Technoblade and Dan, they would have needed to pull off a record Hunger Games performance if they wanted to bring this one close and still take down Needle and Morgan at some point, and it had to be early. That was going to be that probably was going to be the call for them coming into this game, was having to single them out, play incredibly aggressive, and if they can't find Needle and Morgan, you just got to hope to God that they fall in the early game, because what they find 30, 40 points, which is just a handful of eliminations, which we know that they can do, it was going to be almost mathematically impossible, which you never doubt the Blood God, obviously. So he could have pulled off something incredible, but at the same time, you have to be wary of your surroundings and kind of what that game would have looked like. And it would have been grim. It would not have been easy, to say the least.
Definitely wouldn't have been, right? Morgan plays Needle, getting some, at least inventory finally. Wooden sword into the hands of Morgan, and a couple players might be pushing on their position. Will, in fact, be Captain Sparkle's Bayesian Canadian. And they are, at least in third place, 754 points. So Vicstar and Skep potentially up in the mix at 742 to overtake them at third. Which isn't a bad placing, but 7 weeks in a row is tough.
I was going to say, I think this is the real story right now. Can Bayesian, I mean, again, you talk about mathematics, they would need about 270 points themselves.
Sure.
But can they hold off the rest of the teams to keep themselves in third place? Because you heard Bayesian in Bingo. I want to see myself on that pedestal. He is referring to finishing top 3 again. And right now, every single elim big. That's Skeppy right up there. This is the elim he needs if he wants to secure that spot.
That's the one he wants. It's the one he has to get. Skeppy making his way up the ladder. And for a while, it's going to be a decent amount of time in that elevator before he manages to get toward the top floor. As taking a look, Bad Boy Halo actually does take down one. Moxie, though, still surveying throughout the map. He and XQC put up a fantastic performance, right? The first team to pretty much complete their bingo card. And I got to say, I'm continually impressed with them every single week. It's a matter of, we have XQC and Moxie, obviously, but they played super well when it came down to KitPVP. They played well when it came down to bingo. I almost feel like we've talked about it and tried to get to their strengths of, okay, they're a PvP team. And then at certain moments, I remember in their first week that they played, it was like, oh, no, they're actually really good at minigames. And then we come to find out they're actually just a fantastic team. Like, they are just good at everything. So I'm excited for these guys. Week in and week out, they are always a solid choice to choose for a team if you're looking for not necessarily a dark horse, but looking for a team to just maybe pick kind of outright in terms of a roster look out for. XQC and Moxie, regardless if they've gotten in that top 3 or not, they are always in contention for taking down top-tier players. They've had their moments. They've even skewed the results just based off of their play, and they always leave their mark, that's for sure.
And speaking of that team right now, they are only about maybe their best score we decided was 4th place. That's the top finish they've had. They are still within striking distance of that. They'll need about 160 points if they want to close it, so that is pretty difficult. But again, we keep saying this, it's a matter of slaying out. It's really those final 10, 11, 12 players that really determine who gets the big point totals over the end.
At least the chat is paused, right? Travs, you have a pretty smile. Wilbur, he appreciates it as he smiles in chat, too. I love to see that. Afamu taken out, unfortunately. This, of course, coming through is going to be Isaac with James Charles. And I will say, James Charles has had a phenomenal week. Isaac as well, been a great partner to say the least. Landed, though, getting into the mix as Isaac now will win another fight as it looks like a 3P coming into play. And that's going to be Preston, hot on the heels of Isaac, forced to run away. Luckily, no Ender Pearls do remain as we will have a mid-battle, it looks like. But Preston slowly gaining ground fire. No worries. He's not going to stress about it, but it will slow him down enough as Isaac actually slows down once again. Preston runs straight through it. He's going to lose at least 3 hearts.
He's going to have to back up just a little bit and saying, you know, this is a pretty central location, and now they're stopping throwing stuff down. What a time for the chests to refill and a supply drop to come in. But now he's going to have to back up. The cavalry has arrived, and it does look like James Charles here to assist Isaac. And now they will get the spoils here in the center. Preston having to retreat back over to the side. Of course, teammate did go down, and this is the man to watch right now. Bajan Canadian, can he keep his streak of 3rd places alive? Every elim important right now. And on the other side, this is the team that has a mathematical chance, gentlemen, of preventing that from happening. And this would be a big fight for both of these teams.
Oh, it absolutely would, right? This is a huge situation for them. You also notice, right, Moxie has the equipment. He has the gear to get this one done. A diamond enchanted sword as we go from roster to roster. XQC and Moxie now over toward Bajan Canadian and Captain Sparkles. As we've talked about, wanting to hold on to their 3rd place position as they're being hammered down by some arrows. They want to try and take down A6D, and it looks as if they may be in the position to do that. You see quite a few rosters getting up in the mix, but no, it's actually going to be Moxie who steals that one. So if you ever wanted to take a kill or an elim away from the enemy, it would be in that situation. And look at that kill feed. Camping Rusher took down both Morgan and Needle. And XQC and Moxie, they're continuing to roll. So Top Dog's knocked out, and that 4th place team of XQC and Moxie, they're starting to find elims, while Bajan and Captain Sparkles, they're currently silent.
That is brutal to say the least, the fact that they got taken out. And you can only imagine if Techno was still around. Now, forgive me for asking, Dan TDM, does he still remain?
No, Dan went down there as well. Isaac took both of them out. So you talk about an unfortunate situation here. It still would have been a lot of elims they would have had to have get, but now our top 2 teams are out of this. And again, now the race is for 3rd and 4th place. There are still medals on the line. Let's go, James Charles here. That team is doing well for themselves in terms of elims. James Charles is a legend, says Technoblade. He's going in. Whenever you get respect from that man, you know you've done something good.
Look, James Charles, you know, into KitPVP ended up eliminating Techno, right? We look now over towards Hunger Games and James Charles, who, remember at the beginning whenever we first had him, right, the first week, he was having a lot of diplomacy, which is always great, but a lot of people were helping him, and he wasn't getting elims. Now he's self-sufficient. He can protect himself. He can defend himself, and he can fight, and he continues to do so. But Vicstar, though, Preston, just right here. Vic is only down to 5 hearts. Preston, he's backing off.
He's not interested in wanting to engage, and I love this, right? We've got Preston, Captain Sparkles, Bajan Canadian, Vicstar, all of them in the mix, as this was even kind of 2 top teams just a few weeks ago who were battling it out for those top positions. But Preston, Vicstar, they've had a few of their engagements in TBNR frags. Preston will take him down. So a great 3P opportunity. But still, guys, this is Bajan Canadian and Captain Sparkles in 3 different scenarios losing their kills, losing their benefits. And 2 out of those 3 times have come from the roster that's nearly overtaking them in Moxie and XQC, so they've got to be careful with this. And I think they just threw another player right into the grasps of Moxie and XQC. This is now 3 different times that they've allowed for their opposition, their direct teammates, or rather their direct competition, to take down players.
Oh, James into the zone. It's going to slowly start ticking away. Moxie XQC gang up on him now. Only 2 teams left. Moxie XQC against another duo off in the distance. And that is the fact to be Captain Sparkles, Bayesian Canadian, as a fight will ensue. Bayesian, hearts getting low, just under half. He is eventually going to get taken out. There he goes. Now Captain Sparkles last up, and he gets taken out. And XQC and Moxie in the last Hunger Games comes through, and they take the victory.
We will have to double check there. Moxie was sitting at most elims for quite a while.
Yeah.
That might have been enough to push them certainly into 4th place, maybe even 3rd place.
I mean, Captain Sparkles and Bayesian, they didn't find a single kill in the last, I think it was 2-3 minutes. Because all of them were getting stolen. TBNR Frags, he walks in the depths. James Charles, he walks in the depths. They almost had every single one lined up, but they kept giving them away. It was the perfect 3P opportunity for Moxie and XQC. Wonderfully played. And I got to say, some new guys, like we talked about XQC and Moxie, 2 Minecraft Mondays, they're taking down some OGs. As we are, in fact, crowning some champions. Needle and Morgan come through and will be Week 8 Minecraft Monday victors. A huge congratulations to them as Technoblade and Dan TDM valiantly rounding out that 2nd place position. And there we go. Despite how hard we saw XQC and Moxie go, they fall just short of getting on that platform as Captain Sparkles and Bayesian Canadian 3 tournaments in a row, getting 3rd place together, and I believe Bayesian Canadian's 6th or 7th 3rd place finish. It's getting crazy right now. But hey, a fantastic tournament as we'll go and look at our 11th through 19th placements. And Tyler 1 and Greek God
17,
placing higher than 19th. Props. They're improving.
Wow, they definitely are. They got 19th last week, right? So
yes,
19th or 20th. So the fact that they're in 17th, shout out to them. They played very well. And Dolan Dark Grande as well up there in the mix. You'd love to see it, but 9. Your favorite part, right? You love seeing the individual scores. Let's pull that up. Go ahead and talk about it. Let me know what you see.
Well, no surprise, of course, at the top. The winning team almost always has the top score, Needle XC. Meanwhile, Technoblade, of course, I don't think he's had a single week where he wasn't at least in the top 4. Great work there. Pacing the top 3 is going to be Morgan Plays, of course. When you have 2 players who can put up that kind of score, they're going to do exactly what you see there, which is get a victory. Moxie, Travs, Bayesian, Vic, names we should all be familiar. Of course, Preston being up there as well. But when your scores are 1 and 3, gentlemen, that generally bodes pretty well for you.
Absolutely. Proud of Moxie at 476 there in 5th place. Awesome stuff from XQC and Moxie. 4th place once again. Honestly, though, breaks my heart about Bayesian Canadian Captain Sparkles.
That is
3rd place.
So that is their third place in a row as a team, and that is what I believe is, looking at my notes really quick, that is the 6th 3rd place finish for Bayesian Canadian.
It's consistent.
We've had 8 tournaments. He's played. He's finished. He's finished 3rd 6 times.
Yeah.
He's very good. He's very good. And he and Captain Sparkles are obviously a talented roster, but they just fall short. It's somebody every single week.
Every week.
It's along with Technoblade, it's just someone else who joins alongside that fray, whether it's Skeppy and Bad Boy Halo, whether it's been Vic and a few others, Preston and a few others. It's just a matter of one extra team alongside, of course, the Technoblade, and they just can't break it. They can't.
1 week in the future, they're going to have their break, right?
Oh, they will.
Come through.
It's going to happen.
They're going to get 1st or 2nd because you can't continue to get 3rd place, right? I mean, we're looking at typical Gamer Thieves.
You don't chew on bronze, you chew on gold. That's what it is.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
You can't. It wouldn't taste very well. Or not that gold tastes very well.
I don't think
well, golden apples. It's golden apples, not bronze apples.
There you go. Golden apples. They taste well.
Yeah,
and you put gold on everything. Gold on donuts. Gold on burgers. It's
gold
weird.
leaf.
I don't have that much money, but people out there, they be splurging.
Oh yeah, there's some YouTube videos you find it.
Like watching 2 Chainz eat that burger with the gold on it.
They do it.
It's not even good. But regardless, though, Captain Sparkles, Bayesian Canadian, they're a duo. I think they're going to get their big break. I think they're going to get 1st or 2nd. But I want to shout out, though, the winners of tonight's, right? Coming
Needle and
through.
Morgan, man.
Needles, man. Needles and MC Morgan, the fact that they came through and they won, you know they were big fans. Of course, they're playing over in the Minecraft Monday server. On top of that, being fans of the players who played out. And the fact that Needles finishes up top, over that of TechnoPig. He's got to feel good, right? He knows who TechnoPig is, right?
Oh,
He probably
yeah.
watches. He's probably an avid fan of that. And the fact that they come through as competitors, as a fan team, and they take over the victory and they win not only their first ever appearance, but win over some of their idols potentially and people that they've been watching for some time. It's got to be a great feeling. So congratulations to them, and I'm excited and I'm happy that they were able to win. One of the most dominated performances from an added team, just ahead of that of Fire Breathman and player who did very well.
Yeah, I mean, like what? I mean, kind of from the beginning stages, 9, it was really a matter of them, I mean, pretty much game in, game out. They already had their kind of mark being made in the early stages, right? They take down that Game 3 Hunger Games on Breezy, and they just kind of rolled from there. They traded a few games. They took down Technoblade a few different times, and man, those guys are without question a team to kind of keep your eye out for. And like I said, I can't wait to kind of see what they do in terms of their future. But I got to say, they came through in their first ever Minecraft Monday, and they shocked the world.
They did. They shocked the world. Unfortunately, they made the biggest mistake you can make, which is you won your first round, and now you will never get to play with that teammate again. So maybe the duo breakup, but even if it is not, congratulations, of course, for the victory there. The dominance displayed in Hunger Games, which is the most inconsistent mode. So many things can go wrong for you. The fact that such incredible dominance happened, I know that last game notwithstanding, all the others, true slayers all the way through. And if you guys do get to stick together for the next round, I hope we see another clash because this is 2 weeks in a row. Techno's gotten silver. We've been talking about bronze not tasting good. Silver's not so good either.
Yeah, just the second loser. A lot of people like to call it. Technoblade, though, hey, just being honest, I mean, to a certain extent.
Straight fuego.
Technoblade is incredible. We all know that. But like I said, in his mind, it's probably the same aspect of like, man, second place, it's a shame. But it only does motivate you for the future weeks. We all know Blood God cannot silence the Blood God. That's without question. But, guys, any kind of closing thoughts for the broadcast?
Honestly, just another great week. Loved it, right? Bringing it back to at least the original first, second week. More Hunger Game action. It was pretty awesome. Can't wait to see what next week brings. Maybe even another surprise fan team comes through and surprises us all because there's so many great, talented players out there that play Minecraft day in and day out. And there's so many players that we still need to see on the table. But, like I said, another great week. I love Minecraft. What can I say?
I mean, I would say the exact same thing.
You always do.
I know. I mean, you're just so clairvoyant, so comprehensive.
Next week, 9, I'll ask you first your closing thoughts.
Oh, yes, that's it.
I'll
there
say,
we
all
go.
Right, 9, what is your thoughts?
Thank you for tossing it off. But I will say, you had a great remark about so many talented players. We have seen this, like you said, week in and week out. So many of you grew up playing Minecraft and now playing amongst the content creators that you grew up watching, that I grew up watching, that we all enjoyed watching. So, again, thank you to everybody who participated, all of you for viewing, and, of course, for you, too, for making Mondays the best day of the week.
Oh, I like that, man.
Look at this guy, huh?
It's a blast, man. Minecraft Monday.
I like that.
It's quickly turned into one of our favorite broadcasts here at the studio. It's always a fantastic time, and it's obviously a credit to you guys as well, right? Massive thank you to you, of course, for the entire studio. It was a phenomenal broadcast. We crowned some new champions. We learned some new storylines, and we have ones that are going to be carrying on and forth into prior ones. But hey, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for the broadcast today. If you haven't done so already, make sure to check us out on social media at UMG Gaming. Visit our website, umggaming.com. Grab yourself a free membership, create a free account, and start to get in the action. We have multitudes of different games. We've got 4 different broadcasts going on from week-to-week basis. We've got Fortnite, Call of Duty Gears, and of course, Minecraft. So if you like to maybe explore a little bit, if you're a multifaceted gamer, you have a lot of different interests, hey, we cover most of those things, from shooters to Minecraft to obviously Fortnite, everything in between. We've got it you all covered. So we want to thank you guys obviously for tuning in for this broadcast and for making it a blast to watch. And of course, for the entire UMG studio, for 9 Whole Grains and Reflections, this is Lando Sanders signing off for the final time, saying thank you for being with us, and we will see you all next time.